All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to New Covenant Community Connect Live. We are back with another extraordinary show today, and I'm so excited about today's episode. We have
Yeah.
been covering so many different topics from gardening to music to autism awareness to book writing to DNA testing. And today we're going even further into more of what interests us. We are still in a sports cycle. And so while we're getting ready for the NBA finals and we just finished so many other different playoffs, we're excited to have Nathaniel Malone here, who is an aspiring sports writer. And so we're going to enjoy this conversation with Nathaniel and dig deep into what it means to get into sports writing, to get deep into knowing more about sports and all that stuff that some of you all know about, or if you're like me, don't have a clue about and would love to know more about. So let's get into this show. My co host today is one of the most special people to me in the world. It is my dad, Bishop Dwight Elijah, who was also Nathaniel's grandfather and Nathaniel is my son. So today is a family affair. So that makes today even more special. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna first throw it over to Bishop. Dad, how are you this morning?
I'm doing fabulous. It's a great day to
Wonderful.
be alive. Praise God.
Praise God. Was looking good over there in Florence,
Mm.
South Carolina.
Yes.
Amen. We are, Bishop is in South Carolina. Nathaniel is in our hometown of Muskegon, Michigan, where we're all from. And I am here in the Rocky Mountains of Greeley, Colorado. So we're covering all of the coast today. And how exciting is that?
Wow.
Nathaniel, welcome to our show.
Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Nathaniel, let's start with just getting to know you and tell us a little bit about you and what got you even interested in sports writing.
Um, well, I'm 24 right now. I probably started writing in general when I was in high school. That's when I first started my first manuscript. And it was really just for fun. But I had always known I could write because I don't know, anytime I had an essay or something, it just was something I excelled in. And once I published my first book, I didn't start sports writing until after that. But once I published my first book, I'd always liked watching sports. So then it just seemed like the next step was to find some way to make a career out of what I like to do, you know. And so I went to go find people that were hiring. I ended up working for two separate companies.
Mhm.
One of them a little bit more on the lower end, one of them a little more well known, but I was doing NBA sports writing since I was about 20, 21, and it's been a fun experience because instead of just watching the game from a fan's lens, you end up watching it from kind of a work lens, and now you're kind of evaluating like, okay, what am I going to write about once the game is over? It's hard though because I did NBA writing and there's so many games, so you have to write after every game, and they usually do back to backs. It's not like NFL where it's 17. It really used to be 16, I think, but 17, 18. Get in and get out. It's much harder with the NBA, but it's fun too because it keeps you busy, gives you something to do, and that's pretty much how I got into sports writing now.
Awesome. So tell us, what is your favorite sport in general, and what is your favorite sport to write about?
Um, my favorite sport is probably football, just because I actually have a team that I like and a player I like. Basketball, I kind of just I'm like a nomad. I just go to whatever team is interesting that year. I don't really have anybody I root for. When you got a little bit of skin in the game, it's much more interesting. And so my favorite sport to write about. I've never actually written about football. It seems like it would be fun to do, but I've never done that before. So I'd probably have to say basketball just because I've written about. basketball for 4 years, 5 years is just what I'm more comfortable doing.
Awesome. So who's your favorite football team?
Right now, it's the Ravens. It was the Broncos for a long time. I kind of still watch them. I don't. I root for them to do good, but they've broken my heart and traded away everyone that I loved. And now it's like a whole new team, and I really love Lamar Jackson, so I rock with the Ravens.
Wow. So once I move to Colorado, you leave Denver. That's cool though. That's all right.
I was there as long as I could. Once Peyton left, they was on thin ice. Then they got rid of Von Miller, and I was out.
Well, I can tell you that's a mutual consensus with most Coloradans here out here. And after last year, once Russell Wilson was gone, most people had a lot of very heartfelt sentiments. So I understand, and I know that they're in a rebuilding phase at this point. So when you're getting into,
Let me ask Nate one
sure,
more question about these
please.
Ravens, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
What do you think the Ravens' strength is? Is it the offense or their defense?
It's got to be that offense because last 2 years they had the number one offense in the league and
Uh-huh.
MVP candidate. And all their all pros. Well, actually, I say two of their all pros is offense, two is defense. So it's kind of up in the air. But their defense has a lot of turnover though. A lot of new rookies.
Uh-huh.
Couple of injuries. Their safety is gone. They lost some people in free agency. Another guy retired. So it'd have to be their offense because they pretty much have the exact same team, and continuity is important. So
Right, right, right. I heard you speaking about Lamar Jackson. Do you think he's top five quarterback?
I think he's 1A. No, he's 1B, and Mahomes is 1A.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because
Now,
he's got more first team all pros than any of the other quarterbacks other than Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers is probably on his last year. He's got
uh-huh,
more than Mahomes too, and he's got more MVP. Actually, got the same amount of MVPs as Mahomes. They both have two. Uh,
right.
he's got the second best winning percentage of any quarterback in the league, and I think he's top 10 winning percentage all time with like 78% or something like that. Anytime he's healthy, they're 13 wins easy.
Hmm.
Um, Josh just got his first MVP. Joe Burrow doesn't have anything except I think he won a Heisman in college. Congratulations. I mean, so Lamar has been doing it. He just ain't won that ring yet. But once he get it, because Peyton Manning didn't win his first ring till he was like 30. John
Absolutely.
Elway was like 30 something. I mean, everybody can't come in the league and beat Mahomes and win it all out the bat. Some people wait a minute, so he'll get it.
Okay, and let's stay with Lamar Jackson just for a
Sure.
couple more minutes. Why do you think Lamar Jackson was overlooked in the draft when he came out of college? Why do you think he fell to so low? That's one question. I have another question after that.
Well, I wasn't watching football as closely as I wish I had been at that time. But I have gone back and watched like his games in Louisville. I watched that first year. I watched the draft and how he was laying there on the table with his mom. I think he went overlooked just because of all the people who were evaluating him. All they saw was kind of how they saw Cam Newton, except Cam Newton was playing in the SEC. I think if Cam Newton had played in the ACC like Lamar did, he wouldn't have been number one because they said all he could do was run. They said
Hmm.
all Lamar could do was run, and even though he won a Heisman, he was, he was at Louisville, which isn't really, you know, like a top tier, like talented school where you're gonna get a superstar quarterback this day and age. So that's I think that's the main part of it. But the Ravens went back in the first round and got him
Right?
because they knew he had something there. You know what I'm saying? I just really think that everybody was, they were trying to make him be a wide receiver. That's why he wouldn't run a 40-yard dash.
Hmm.
I think that there was this stigma about running quarterbacks, specifically black running quarterbacks,
Hmm.
that you can't win with that style of play.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, it remains to be seen. I mean, I guess Jalen Hurts is kind of a running quarterback, but he's nowhere near as quick or elusive as Lamar is.
Absolutely,
So
I agree.
and plus that team was crazy stacked. I mean, I don't think there's any way the Eagles couldn't have won last year. So I think that Lamar is gonna have to break that mold because Mike Vick couldn't do it, Cam Newton couldn't do it, got this close, couldn't do it, RG3 couldn't do it. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of good. Kyler Murray, he's a good one. A lot of good mobile quarterbacks in the league now. Mahomes is technically mobile, so we'll see.
hmm Okay. One more question concerning Lamar Jackson. We both know that the hindsight is 2020,
Mhm.
and he's proven to be a top flight elite quarterback. So why do you think that so many people wanted Lamar Jackson to change positions?
Uh, well, he's got the perfect dimensions for a wide receiver. I think he's about 6'3", and when he coming out of league, coming out of high school, I mean not high school, college, he was maybe just north of 200 pounds, which is a little bit slight for a quarterback. I know some quarterbacks are around that height. I mean, around that weight, but that they like to be more Mahomes, like 6'4", 220. That's a good, that way you can take hits. Part of the knock on Bryce Young is he's only like 190 pounds. So
Yes.
when he gets hit, he feels every bit of it, and you're going to get hit.
hmm
Jalen Daniels as well. He's very slight of frame. But I think Lamar, crazy part about it is, has changed that notion a little bit, though, because I don't hear anybody else saying any quarterbacks should switch positions. I haven't heard that since him. And there's been plenty of quarterbacks that probably could have.
hmm
He's changed that narrative and flipped it on his head. But I mean, he probably would have been a good receiver. I'm sure he probably, every player has. If you're fast enough, I'm sure he played receiver or running back at some point in his, maybe when he was in middle school or something. But I, you know, his best attribute, people always talk about his athleticism. I think he's incredibly smart. And you probably know more than I do that they just assumed that black people couldn't play the quarterback position because we weren't smart enough.
That's correct. But
You know,
that's not.
it was never anything about athleticism. I mean, there's only one white cornerback in the entire NFL.
mm,
It's not about speed. They know we're fast, but they didn't think we
mm,
could process information quick enough to be a quarterback. So
that's
that's
right.
just that's what it boils down to. I don't think they just didn't believe he was smart enough to play the position, which he has clearly proven wrong. You don't win two MVPs and go to the
Mm,
playoffs all those years if you're not a smart enough quarterback.
that's correct. That's why I say I agree with everything you had to say, Nathaniel. And Lamar Jackson is an elite
Oh yeah, he's elite.
quarterback and one of the best in the history of the game.
Yeah, I usually throw out his first 3 years. I know he won the MVP, but he won that MVP off not off Greg Roman. I throw
Mm,
them first few years out because the offensive coordinator was just trying to run a specific style of offense where they just run the ball with Lamar, run the ball with Mark Ingram, run the ball with. They weren't trying to expand him until Todd Monken got there. And now all of a sudden he's having 4,000-yard passing seasons and becoming more the quarterback that he should have been in the beginning. And I just really think that they hindered him by trying to play into his strengths instead of trying to build on his weaknesses.
that's good. Good observation. Thank you, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Leah?
All right. So in the chat, some of the members who are listening who are not as knowledgeable on football have asked, what is a cornerback, Nathaniel?
The quarterback is the player who throws the ball. Really, they hand it off to. They're the centerpiece of the offense. They nothing happens on offense without the quarterback.
Right.
They have to touch the ball and they have to distribute it to everyone else, sort of like a point guard.
Mm,
Except in basketball, anybody can play. Point technically point. But a quarterback is the guy that you see on all the promos. If you see a player on the promos like holding the ball like this, that's the quarterback. He's the most important player on the team.
Right.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now, Nathaniel, you played football in high school. What positions did you play?
When I was a freshman, I played right guard because I was strong. Even though I was small, I was strong. And so my sophomore year, they moved me to defensive end, and I played all defense. And then my junior year, my senior year, I played defensive end and a little bit of one technique, which is kind of like deep tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, but my coach, he liked to put smaller guys at one technique so that we could line up against like bigger centers and guards who weren't as fast, and we
Mm-hmm.
could just knife through the inside. And then we had a bigger guy at our three technique. Three technique is also D tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And then five technique is defensive end, and I played a little bit of that. And then I also played H back, which is essentially a new position they made a few years back, which is like a tight end and a fullback mixed together. And I played a little bit of that, but mainly I played defense until I kind of didn't really want to. I don't know. I played football, but I didn't do it because I love football. I played football because it was just fun, you know. I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people play it because they want to go to the next level and be the greatest and all that. I just like to have a little fun. It was just fun. So it wasn't about going on. You know, a guy came back from college one year and said, listen, if you don't love football, don't go play it in college because it's a different animal. Like they're waking up at 4 in the morning and running upstairs and doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, I don't think I love it that much.
Wow. Well, I know some people who got to see you play, and as for someone who didn't love it, you were great at it. And so I think that says a lot. You were very skilled. And I think it was your senior year you played special teams, right?
I always played special teams.
Okay.
We didn't have like a 60, 70 man roster. We had about 35, 40 guys, so everyone had to play pretty much both ways, everything.
All right. So now for people who don't know, what does it mean to be on special teams?
That's just like so it's three phases of football: offense, defense, special teams. Special teams is punt, kickoff, and PAT or field goal, which is pretty much the same thing, just a little further back. But if you're playing on special teams, usually people say it's like supposed to be like embarrassing or something like that, but it's really not. Like special teams is very important. Usually we have the underclassmen play more of the special teams positions if we have a lot of guys but we didn't have a lot of guys, so everyone's playing special teams. And if you're
Okay.
really a dog, you can really get recruited if you're a really good kick returner or something like that. If you're a really good kick returner, you can go to college and play at a really nice school just returning kicks, or if you're a really good long snapper, if you're a really good punter, like they'll take you. Special teams isn't just like an afterthought. It's actually a very important phase of the game.
Right. It
So,
is.
and if you can figure out how to get your special teams to be just as good as your offense and defense, because special teams, it may not always win you a game, but it'll definitely lose you one.
Oh, no doubt. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nathaniel, for our listeners who don't know, you are definitely a part of a sports legacy. And so, just like you playing, your grandfather played. So, Bishop, what position did you play? Now, in the city of Muskegon, you are still a sports football celebrity. If I say I'm Dwight Elijah's daughter, they are going to tell me their story. So,
Mm.
tell us what position you played.
I was a running primarily. I was a running back. I played some linebacker, but my sport I was known, the position I was known for was running back, or at that time was called fullback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
go
Somebody
ahead.
told me about you.
see, I told you they still talking.
Yeah, they told me they used to watch your games all the time at Heights.
Wow.
Awesome.
Amazing. Now, Nate, just a thought of what, since we were talking about this, and you said your position was a defensive no nose tackle, defensive guard or defensive tackle.
Hmm.
In your prime, Nathaniel, grandson, and my prime, we would have been going against each other.
Hmm.
I mean, you would have had to tackle me.
Hmm.
If I ran a dive or a slant, am I right about
Now, how big were you in high school?
it? I was about 200 pounds.
Okay, so we were about the same size. You know, the
Uh-huh.
problem with my coach. So in Muskegon, I don't know. You went to Muskegon Heights, so I guess we were the
Yeah.
competition. But in Muskegon, Coach Fairfield used to put people out of place. Our quarterbacks never go off to play quarterback in college. They always
Hmm.
go to play receiver or safety or something. Our running backs go off to play something else. Nobody plays the position they played for him. I was not a traditional defensive tackle. I was about 198 pounds,
Uh-huh.
was 5'9".
Okay.
Might truck me, but but my best attribute was my speed against your guard. So
Uh-huh.
I was best when I was blitzing and I can get to the quarterback. Now,
Okay.
as far as run stopping, didn't do a lot of that. Didn't do a lot of that, but my primary goal, I went to every game because I'm a firm believer you can affect the play without making the play.
Mm.
So if I clog up the lane, you only got one lane to go through,
Right.
and now my linebacker is running free because if you know about offensive linemen. The offensive linemen are trying to double team to get to the linebacker, but they got to
Right.
beat me first. I ain't
Right.
moving. So now it's only one lane for you to go through. You go through that B gap. My linebacker, he recruited to Western Michigan. He coming to get you. So
Uh-huh. So my question is, so if you wouldn't have gotten me, my question is, do you think you could have got me by yourself?
I think so. I'm not going. I've never actually been knocked over by nobody when I was trying to tackle them. But at the same time, what were you about 6'2"? You still pretty tall, 6'2", 6'3". I've never tackled anybody as big as you.
Uh-huh.
So the running backs we played against, they were about 6 foot, maybe 5'11", 5'10". They weren't super tall, super big
Mm.
guys. So I think I could have got you, but I don't think it's ideal for me to go high. I probably have to go low and take you out, grab your legs or something. You taller than me,
Yes.
but I think I could have got you though. I definitely think I would have gave you if I didn't get you the first time, I would have at least tried again. Because you're gonna be playing the whole game just like I'm playing the whole game, so I would have finished you.
Good Nathaniel, I want you to know that's a good answer. I'm glad to hear you say no. You would have just ran me over, and I couldn't handle it. Good answer. Even though I probably would have ran you over, but I'm glad. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. I know you was a good football player, Nathaniel. All right, Leah.
While we're talking about families and legacies of families that play football, Deion Sanders is a name that you can't escape right now in football, whether it's pro or college. And now he has his sons following his footsteps.
Hmm.
Nathaniel, how do you feel about his sons? Have you been watching his sons, and what is your perspective on them, especially with one son just now being drafted and one following?
Yeah, I've been watching. I'm a Colorado fan now.
Hmm.
Um, I've been following Dion. I like Dion when he was playing when he was coaching for Jackson State. I wanted them to because he was trying to get the NCAA to approve them to usually FBS teams play FCS schools from time to time. He wanted to play Alabama. He thought he was good enough, and I thought he was good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been watching his boys. The last 2 years was some great years to watch football. Every game nationally televised. It was fun. Um, I think that the problem though with Dion and his family, at least not my problem, but a lot of why they're so polarizing. Because it seems like this would be a story everyone likes, but they're
Mm-hmm.
polarizing because there are a lot of people who don't like them, which is why they're so popular. Because popular cuts both ways. Some people that hate you so much that they want to watch, and some people who love you so much they want to
Hmm.
watch.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's because they're an extension of him in the sense of they are a little bit cocky and they are a little bit brash, but that's because Dion was cocky and brash, and that's
Right.
how they grew up. You know,
Hmm.
they grew up. I mean, they were millionaires before they were even drafted into the NFL. You
That's
know,
right.
they don't need that money. I mean, he his signing bonus was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like 100,000. He's got like a Rolls Royce that cost a hundred
Right.
thousand in his. You know what I'm saying? And I think that rubbed people the wrong way, which is why he didn't go in the first round. You know, I think people were put off by his. I hate using the word cocky, maybe arrogance, or they just wanted to be modest. You know, people hate, for lack of a better term, uh, uh, a black person that they can't control. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
if you don't shuck and jive or yes sir master, okay, you know,
Hmm.
they don't
Hmm.
like that. They don't like that because you seem too, you know, I don't know, like he's just, I mean, I like it, you know, hold up the wrist, and you know,
I do too.
he's got the chain on during games, a big chain too, iced
Hmm.
out. Like I don't care, I like it, I think it's fun, but
Hmm.
clearly the NFL teams think otherwise, you know, and I do think that he's got a little growing up to do from time to time because I've seen clips of where he'll, you know, do some things that I'm not, you know, if you're going to be an NFL quarterback, you know, if you watch how Peyton Manning and Tom Brady conduct themselves, they do it a certain way, which I think that he didn't quite bestow, but
But
he
see,
was still
but the thing, let me jump in real quick. But the thing about Nathaniel, at 20, what is he? 20
yeah,
years old?
years old, yeah.
At 20 years old, we all had growing to do.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, every one of us here today, we
Right.
do things differently now that we did when we were 20.
You're right, yeah.
You know, so I say give him the opportunity, like
Yeah.
everybody else, to
Yeah.
grow.
Yep.
Uh,
Absolutely.
yes.
I think though, because I think he's a great quarterback. He holds, you know,
So
some
do
people don't
I.
even know this. He holds over 100 records in Colorado football. Over
Wow.
100. He's only been there 2 years. He has the best passing percentage in Colorado football history, the most passing touchdowns in Colorado football history. Like it, Mitra, hold on a second.
He's home with his kids still. All right, Daddy. I'll let you still go in talking about Shador and Shiloh and your opinions.
Well, I guess, like I was saying, I believe that just like anyone else, Shadua deserves the opportunity to grow,
Mm.
to mature into the man we all know he's going to be. He's not finished growing.
Right.
Yes, but I believe people confuse arrogance with confidence. I don't call Shador arrogant. I call Shador confident. He
Right.
believes in himself. He believes in his talents. He believes in his ability. That's not arrogant.
I had
Yeah.
to get my son off the bus. I'm sorry. Um, no, I was saying um that Shador holds all those records at Colorado. He's a great quarterback, but he there's a story about Deion Sanders where because he knew he was going in the top five.
Hmm.
So he was telling teams that I won't meet with you, or like he was kind of like being a little bit, not even gonna say rude, but he was like telling teams like I don't need to meet with you, I don't need to see you. Like I know I'm going top five. Teams that were, you know, picking 10th or 11th and 12th, like he wouldn't even look at them, you know. And I think Shador was kind of going that same route, but the problem was he wasn't a surefire first round pick. We all assumed he was, but in those meeting rooms, he wasn't viewed as that by the NFL teams. So I think that he might have jeopardized his own draft stock by not being a little bit. I don't even want to say the word humble because I think that he just needed to be a little bit more open to meeting with anybody and everybody because it's still a job interview. You don't have the job until you have the job. I don't care if you think you the like. I like to cook right now. I'm a chef. I don't care if I think I'm the best cook in the world. I'm not gonna tell anybody, oh nah, I'm good. I don't want to meet with you when I don't have a job yet. I don't. I'm not even in the door yet. So I'm gonna meet with anybody and everybody until I'm to the point where or I just think that there was a lot of things he could have done better. They've leaked stories now that his Giants interview was really bad, but I don't know what's all
Well,
true. What's
how
just
about
missing.
just something to think about, Nathaniel? When Eli Manning came out of college,
Mm-hmm.
his father and even Eli said they're not playing for the Chargers.
Right.
Don't draft it.
Right. John Elway did that too.
John Elway said he wouldn't. I think with the Colts, he wasn't playing for the Colts.
But John Elway had baseball to fall back on. He was like, I'll just go play baseball. I'm not playing against
Right.
the coach,
Now, the point I want to make is
Yeah.
they wasn't called arrogant and cocky.
Right.
No.
See, they were called confident, shrewd business people.
But in this era, everything is so scrutinized because we have social media. Anybody and everybody has an opinion. You just go on your phone and you just write whatever you want. So, and I think I always say this is the hardest time in history to play professional sports because I mean, if you miss a shot, I mean, a lot of what Jordan did is lost in the fabric of time because it wasn't Twitter and all this stuff. So I'm sure he had bad games, but nobody talks about it because it's in the air. LeBron has a bad game. You hear about it all day on the sports shows. Then you see it all day on Twitter. Then you see it
Hmm.
all the memes and you see it on YouTube. So I just think that everything that happened with Shador is because of the social media coverage, which can be good. The social media coverage has turned him into a superstar, but it's also turned him into, I'd say, maybe one of the most polarizing players I've ever seen. Like the people that hate him. They want him gone. The people that love him, love him. They don't even know him, they love him. So I just think that I mean, I don't know what Eli Manning's draft stock was. I don't think Eli Manning's that good of a quarterback. But you look at who his daddy is and who his
Hmm.
brother is, it
Right.
kind of speaks for itself. Uh, I think that if Shador had been in the SEC and did what he did, kind of like how Eli was at Ole Miss, you know what I'm saying? Like if he had
Hmm.
been in the SEC, I think that he's for sure top 10 quarterback. But once you seen Tyler Shock go before him and Jalen
Right.
Monroe, you knew it wasn't about football anymore. It was
Absolutely, I
because
agree.
something that he did rubbed people the wrong way. It wasn't about
Hmm.
football anymore. It was
Hmm.
now about, okay, we don't like this guy as
Right.
a person. And so many people don't realize the quarterback I love the way Jalen Hurts handles himself at the podium. I think he's the best quarterback I've ever seen at the podium. He sits up straight. He's got it. He's like because his father has been a coach and he's been coaching him his whole life. And he told him, hey, "Look, this is how you need to do this." Not any fault of Deion Sanders, but Deion Sanders a lot of people didn't really like him. He was a great player, but a lot of people didn't really like him because they thought he was just too over the top and too flashy. And I think that he instilled that in Shador, which isn't a bad thing, but I don't think that's what you need to be as a quarterback is over the top and flashy. I don't know any over the top and flashy quarterbacks. I don't know a single one. And I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not saying for better or for, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that he is who he is, but I can't name one quarterback that is as I don't know. He acts more cornerback, more receiver like. Is his mentality, and I think that
What do,
he.
what do you what do you what do you think about Baker Mayfield? Do you think he's fit that category?
I think Baker Mayfield got humbled 4 times. He got cut, released, traded, ridiculed.
Right, I agree with you there. I'm saying, far as him coming into the league with
Oh,
confidence, how
but
he
uh,
how
like, like I,
brash he was, and all of that. I think he fit that mold.
but it's the SEC. It's the SEC kind of stigma. Like if you're an SEC quarterback, you're viewed as a better prospect. I don't think that I don't think that Baker Mayfield was I'm trying to think who else was in his draft class. Because I know he went number one, but I don't think he's really all that better than Shador at this point. I know he's got a stronger arm, and so they say, but it's just that SEC, like Johnny Manziel was over the top and partied all the
Oh
time.
my goodness, yes he
But
was.
but it's that Texas A&M, you know what I'm saying? Like when you go to, and actually Baker Mayfield went to Oklahoma, so that's the Big 12. But I think they were in the bed with the SEC. Like we knew they were leaving, and so plus this people don't want to talk about it. He's black, you know what I'm saying? And they be like, "Well, Cam Ward was black," and I say, "But for lack of a better term, Cam Ward was a house boy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a good boy. Like he does
Mhm.
he doesn't rub people the wrong way. And what I mean by rub people the wrong way is he doesn't have his own social media team that follows him around. He doesn't
Mhm.
have his own YouTube channel. I think that's unheard of, and I think people don't like that. But I don't. I mean, Pete, do what you want to do, but he doesn't have. Uh, something else I heard. People were afraid that Deion Sanders would take their job.
Right, right.
They
I
were
heard
afraid
you.
that if they
Yeah.
didn't do a good job with his son, that he would be the next head coach.
Hmm.
I don't know. There was so many things. So my girl was trying to ask me, she's like, well, maybe it's just one. I'm like, it can be multiple things as to why he fell. If I get fired from my job, the main reason could be because I was tardy, but it could be a million reasons why I got fired. They
Right.
just compounded on it. I think it's a bunch of things working together as to why he fell so low in the draft. And none of maybe a few of them might have been football related. I do think that people were upset that he took a lot of sacks, and all sacks aren't on the offensive line. Some of them are on. I think that me personally, he cared more about his completion percentage than he did making the right play at times. I really do. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I do think that at times he didn't want to throw a pass and get it dropped or intercepted or incomplete. He would just run around until he find an open receiver. When it's like, man, you just gotta take the change, man. Just throw it down and figure something out. And he's not incredibly fast. And I think people are used to seeing black quarterbacks like he's not athletic. So
Hmm.
he's not athletic. What is he?
Hmm.
So it's like so it's so many things that could have played a part in it. And plus there were only about 4 or 5, 6 teams that needed a quarterback. So
Hmm.
it's not like you got the pick of the litter. Once the Giants don't want you, and the Titans aren't taking you, they're taking Cam Ward, and then
Right.
once the Steelers don't want you, you're running out of teams.
Hmm.
And the Saints weren't sure what they were going to do with Derek Carr. I bet you if they knew Derek Carr was going to retire, they would have did a redo. So it's just a lot of things they could have went into that.
Right. All right, Leah.
I'm just enjoying it. I always love being able to hear Daddy talk about football. So I am enjoying the conversation, but I'm listening, thinking, and I kind of want to pivot back to a point. I believe that for this conversation, if you all will permit me just to say Daddy and not Bishop, we all understand who that is, right?
Hmm.
But the difference in one player being called confident and another being called arrogant. And I think the point is that we have to be honest, and that we're looking at a racial situation. And
Mm-hmm.
um and so I agree with Nathaniel with social media, but I think that and I think of the difference in generations between Daddy's generation, mine, and Nathaniel's, and I feel like I'm kind of like in the middle and seeing different things. And I I watched the draft. Well, I followed it. My husband is a writer, and he'll be joining soon, a journalist. And I mean, my husband's heart broke as it was going on, because he just kept saying this is so personal. Um, and just following Shador over his career, and just hearing that, and even hearing that about Coach Prime, because we're here in
Hmm.
Colorado, right? And it's that constant. He's so arrogant, and I can say, just I just feel like this conversation should be so vulnerable, right? Being raised by a very confident man. My father's extremely confident, but it would be easy to say that's arrogance. But it wouldn't be if it was he was somebody else. And so I think I just see it that way, the way he's saying it, right? And so my dad has always been, I'm going to dress this way, live this way. I was just telling my
Mm-hmm.
husband last night, my sisters and I were raised, my husband was watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and we grew up watching that. My dad would sit me and my sisters down and say, this is what I want to put before you. And it was, it's okay to eat the best, drive the best, live the best,
Right.
best. As Black people, Black women, um, but there's an ideology that would be like, well, you shouldn't say that, or that. I was telling my husband, we would say that belongs to the celebrities or those people. It belongs to whoever it belongs to and whoever desires it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that when you look at someone like a Deion Sanders, uh, before Christ, we'll say one thing, but he's a believer now. But he just believes in himself, and he has a right to put that into his sons because they worked hard for it. Yeah, they've come into a legacy and to a bloodline, but everything wasn't handed to them. They worked for it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's what's unfortunate when you look at like the Mannings, and certain other players. It's just not even perceived the same. People know what they're looking at. It's being presented differently.
Right.
And
Well, and also I think it had. I agree with you when you brought this point up earlier, when you were talking about generations.
right,
And my generation, when we played, our coaches taught us from the very beginning to look these people in the face and let them know who you are.
wow,
And but you hear a lot of people saying to players now, just keep your head down
right,
and play.
I think a lot.
Why do they have to keep their head down and play?
right,
I think a lot of it comes back to though, because I do agree it's racial, at least racially undertone. I don't, but I think that it comes back to the position though. If you're a cocky receiver, I don't think anybody cares. In fact, I think they love it. I mean, every receiver that's worth his weight is a little bit over the top. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase. If you're a cocky cornerback, if you're a linebacker and you're crazy, you're cocky, you're arrogant, like if you're a running back, I just think that at the quarterback, because the coach, the owner, and the GM all have to be in constant conversation with the quarterback because those are the four most important pieces. If you get the coach, the quarterback, the GM, and the owner right, you're gonna have a great team. Look at the Chiefs. They got Mahomes, Brett Beach, Andy Reid, and the Hunts. They got they got the quadruple. So they got when you get those four right, you have a great team. I think that the quarterback, for better or for worse, if you don't fit the mold that they want, they aren't going to draft you. Versus a running back that acts the same way, they might be like, whatever, it's a running back. He's a receiver, and I do think it has something to do with race as well because, like you said, Baker Mayfield was arrogant and cocky, and how he acted. I mean, we all know about when he grabbed the flag and planted it during the rivalry game and did all the stuff that he did in college. But I do also think that I don't like to talk down on Shador because I do think that he's a great player. But I do think that there were times where he didn't showcase. I don't want to say like the BYU game. I think was the very last time we saw him, and he didn't play very well, and it stuck in our faces for all that time. Then he didn't go to the Senior Bowl. Then he didn't go to the Combine. He didn't do certain things he should have done to help his own case, which I'm not defending them for not drafting him. I just think that there were a lot of things he could have done to help himself out, especially as a black man. We'll hear it all the time. We got to work 110% harder than a white person, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So you can't undersell yourself. I just think that, because you got these white owners, white GMs, and white coaches who need to like you whether or not think it's right. I've worked at places where I got fired one time because I was rude, which, I don't know if I was rude or not, but I'm black. So I might just come off as rude. So
mhm,
it's just, you got to play the part. My dad always said, play the game, like play the game. It's not. It doesn't have to be right. Just play the game. If the white people want you to smile, then smile. Which I don't think is always right, but I think there's truth behind it because this is their league. All the owners are white. I can't name one black owner. All the GMs, most of them at least, are white. The coaches are white. You have to play their game. And so I just think that it is racially motivated because they didn't want Shador to come in here and acting how he's acting. But I do think that if if he plays well this year, this is all forgotten.
Well, let me interject this, Nathaniel. I understand what you're saying, and I understand about playing their game.
Right.
When it comes to me taking down from who I am,
Right.
I can't do that. I,
Right.
I will not do that.
Right.
I don't think an individual should do that to please someone else.
No, they shouldn't. But
Now,
you're.
this point I want to make with that. Now, when I was playing football,
Mm,
I was the captain on the defense.
yeah.
Now, so that means in the huddle, I call the plays. I can't tell you what some of the things that went on in our huddles. All right, where our players, we had a lot of alpha males on our defense, a lot of them. So I was leading alpha males. You follow me?
Hmm.
And I had to calm some of them down, to the point where I would say, "Don't do that. You causing us penalties."
Hmm.
And they would say, "You can't tell me what to do." This happened in the huddle.
Mm,
You can't tell me what to do. I said, "I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm going somewhere with this. But you're causing us 15 yards for no
right.
reason."
Right.
Now, after I got all that settled down, I wasn't trying to get these guys not to be alpha males. Just be smart about it. Now, I never told probably a handful of people this story. The referee, we were playing, actually, I know you a big red, Nate.
Hmm.
We were playing the big reds. The referee came into our defensive huddle. What is he doing in our huddle? Called some of us by our names. He called us dirty players. You
Wow.
don't play right. I don't like the way you all play. You're too aggressive. So how do you think he called that game after that?
He was calling a lot of penalties.
Yes. So do you think we should keep smiling and play their game? No. We're gonna play football.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. I don't think that he should castrate himself to please the masses. I don't want him to be anyone that's not. But I do applaud a lot. Like right now in OTAs, he doesn't have the camera crew. He doesn't have Bucky out there. His daddy isn't on the sidelines. ESPN isn't there. I do applaud that he's not, posting every 2 minutes legendary and I'm not saying that that was bad, but I just think right now it should be about football. I think that Shador became, when he was at Jackson State, I didn't even really know who he was for real. He was a 3-star athlete coming out of high school. He had some offers from some nice schools, but he became a celebrity overnight in Colorado. They love him out there. He became a
Hmm.
celebrity. And when you're 20 years old, I'm sure that probably went to his head. He had the highest NIL evaluation of any player. He had like $8 million or $9 million in NIL evaluation. So he became a celebrity. And I don't want to say it got to his head, but I do think that he got a bit above over his skis because no matter who you are, you have to realize this is a job interview. You know, you're presenting yourself with, so like any other level of football, high school, the coaches come to you. They want you. I want you on my team. College, they recruit you. They come to your house and sit down, have dinner with you. They want you. I want you. Come play, please.
Hmm.
NFL, You are going to them. You want a job. They don't need you. Now, I'm not saying he's not a good player, but like Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter was going to get drafted, whether he came to the event, whether he went to the combine, he was going to get drafted. Travis Hunter, these are generational players. And I just think that if Shador, like they were saying, he doesn't have a strong arm. They were saying he isn't that mobile. They were saying he isn't quite as accurate on deep throws. They were saying all this stuff about him, which I think that somebody always said if the production doesn't match the problem, then uh, uh so the production has to match the problem. And I'm not saying he's a problem, but like you see this all the time with players that are they go to nightclubs and stuff like that, and they become nuisances throughout the league. But they rush for 1,500 yards or whatever, so they're talented players. So you deal with it. But I think Shador in a lot of these NFL owners' minds, his production didn't match what would come with him, and so I just think that's what it boils down to. Um, on his face, at least, you know. And plus, I knew the Giants weren't going to draft him. The Giants have never drafted a black quarterback. They haven't hired a black coach. Uh, I knew they weren't going to draft him. In the year, the Giants were one of the oldest teams in the NFL. They've never drafted a black quarterback. They've had a black quarterback, threw him to the wolves, but they've never drafted a black quarterback. When you draft someone, a first round pick is the most invaluable thing in the NFL. It's so valuable that even good players don't go for first round picks sometimes. You might get a second. Right now, if you trade a really good player, you might get a second. First round picks don't just grow on trees, you pay a player $50 million and like most of it's guaranteed, and it's for 5 years. Like it's a very valuable pick. So if you're going to get drafted in the first round, the team has to love you. And I just think that Shador wasn't loved by any of the teams that wanted him or they needed a quarterback, which isn't always. I thought he would go to a better team. I wanted him to drop like Lamar did and go to a really good team. Lamar went to the Ravens. That was the best thing that could happen to him. I'm glad he didn't to whoever was drafting first. I'm glad he didn't go to them. I just wish that. I mean, the only problem is Shador went all the way to the fifth, and he still went to the worst team in the NFL. Like if he had went to the Rams or something, we would have been happy. Like, okay, here we go. When Matt Stafford was going, he's got a good, But whatever. I mean, I don't think he should be penalized because of his stature and his aura and his persona, but I just think that at the end of the day, like you're an independent man, Papa. Like you own your church, and you can be a pastor anywhere. You can have a church in the parking lot if you want to. Like, but so you don't need them. But he can't just start his own NFL, so he has to do what they want him to do at the end of the day, which is kind of like,
Very good perception, grandson. Very good perception.
Wow. This has got
Very
deep.
good. Proud of you, Nathaniel. All right, Leah.
I do believe that I was telling my husband, I do believe that this year will be how we really discover who Shador is. And once his first year in the NFL is who we'll really see. And I believe those who tried to sabotage his career, I believe some people are going to feel really bad. I believe he is going to show up and shine where he is. And I also agree with what Daddy said earlier. He's 20. He's gonna. He needs mercy and grace to grow. The time to do it, and he's going to do it. I believe he's going to make not just his father proud, but a lot of people proud. And I believe in him. And he's got his brothers coming up behind him, and I think that's an amazing thing. But I my personal viewpoint is I think it is not wrong for his father to have paved any way or put inside of him whatever he put inside of him. And I was thinking, my husband and I was having a conversation of the viewpoint of people when you talk about like Dion or LeBron with his son. And the nepotism and all this, but then we talked about like the Mannings, and so people, they just handed him this and he doesn't. Now I know Bronny's got some work to do. He's got some work to do. He'll get it done.
He, and
But
he'll get it done.
he will get it done. But this was my
Hmm.
point, and I want your opinion, Nathaniel. My point with even with this, and Daddy, when people were discussing this with the Jameses, it was even to the point I wasn't in these rooms. Even if LeBron just said, "I'm only staying if my son can play this, season or whatever," which is believed to what was said, people were so incensed by that. But my thing was, but if that was your son,
Mm.
that was you had the opportunity. You mean to tell
Hmm.
me you wouldn't do it? I just think that it's such a hypocritical thing, and I think
I
it's
agree.
only happening because it's LeBron. You wouldn't have this conversation with another player, and LeBron has put in the work to have his son be with him,
Hmm.
and his son to me doesn't have to be awesome. He
Yeah.
he doesn't.
Hmm.
And so sometimes I don't like the word nepotism. I think it's just favor. Um, it's a blessing. So I feel bad for Bronny and the attacks he's getting because some of it is just not merited. It's the same thing we're saying with Shador. He's going to grow. He's.
Yes.
I think to expect even his father's statistics coming in is just not fair.
Hmm.
Um, and so he's just got some going to do. So I just wanted to kind of pivot to another father son duo and just get you all's opinions, because
Hmm.
that's someone that they're not calling him cocky so much, but
Yeah.
definitely unmerited, and I don't think
Yeah.
that's
Well, I think it's only nepotism isn't bad. I don't think. I think some people think that Bronny skipped the line. The big thing was, well, there was another player that could have got drafted, but it's like with the 55th pick, go back in history and look how many 55th picks even end up becoming NBA players. They end up getting cut, traded, sent somewhere
Right.
else. They go play for the Shanghai Sharks or the
Right.
Taiwan Terrapins. And what do we talk like? I went no. The crazy part about it is he he. I don't think Bronny was the best prospect in college. I didn't really like Bronny. This isn't even about LeBron. I was watching Bronny when he was playing for Syria, Kenya, and I didn't really like Bronny. I like Bryce more. Bryce, I think, is the better prospect, but that's Bron's other son. But I,
Hmm.
I never really was a fan of Bronny, really, and it has nothing to do with LeBron. I just didn't see it. But either way it goes, that's neither here nor there. I think that nepotism has been happening forever. Jerry Jones' son works for him,
Hmm.
and
Right.
Bill Belichick's son worked for him.
Right.
How many head coaches' sons have also been? Nathaniel Hackett's dad was a coach, and like Luke Walton, I think it was his dad, Bill Walton. Like,
Absolutely.
nepotism is going around for forever. What's the point in me being in a position when I can't help my son be in a position? I mean, really, it's happened more than just in football and basketball. I mean, if I'm a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, I bet you they have a son or a daughter or somebody who is in the boardroom or something. I guarantee it.
absolutely
Hmm.
You know,
Agree.
it's just why would I not give my child an opportunity? When I'm gonna go let them go work, fend for themselves and figure it out? Why would I not give them an opportunity and help them out? I just think that because I think part of it could be because they're black. We don't want to see black men helping out their sons. But I also think, like in LeVar Ball, for example,
right.
he didn't do it right. He was going on a media tour saying that his sons were better than Jordan, which you can believe that if you want to. But I do think he's an amazing father. He clearly loves his son. But LeBron did it right, in my opinion. I don't know why he got so much. I mean, he just, take a flyer, 55th pick, you take a flyer on a player you're not sure about that you just want to see. Go grab my son. Let's just see what happens, figure it out. And it was a beautiful moment. Dion didn't even really, I don't even know if that was real nepotism. Shador was a good quarterback. It's not like he just, like he was a zero star. He had offers from from some really big schools, if I'm not mistaken, Florida State, Georgia. Like, there's a couple schools that wanted Shador coming out of high school. So
Hmm.
he was a really good quarterback, And that's what.
I honestly I believe some of that is marketing
Yeah,
because when you go back to Muhammad Ali,
yeah.
that's what he said.
Mm,
Muhammad Ali said when he would say, "I'm the greatest of all times," he said, "I didn't believe that. It was
mm,
marketing."
Yeah.
He said, "I want to make people so angry that they come watch the fight and I'd get paid."
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Mark.
I mean, I'm not gonna say what he was saying because he said you get to hear what he was saying.
Right. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
but he was saying he makes some people so angry
Yeah.
they come to see this black man get beat up. But he didn't use black man.
I mean, but popularity, like I said, can cut both ways. Some people hate Colorado so much that they watch, and some people hate Colorado. I mean, love Colorado so much that they watch. Same as Shador and Dion. They love them so much, and they hate them so much. Is why they get so much coverage because they're polarizing. You
Hmm.
know. But I don't got no problem with nepotism. If I was in a position to help my son, I would do it. I don't care. Now, I'm not going to put him anywhere out of his depth if he's not if he's not talented enough. I don't want to say talented enough, but if he hasn't put in the work to be a CEO, I don't know if I would put him in that position and run my company into the ground. But I would work him up in the best way possible. Because why would I not help him become the best version of himself? You know, I don't know. I don't really think nepotism is an issue at all. I think people just don't like seeing people skip the
Well,
line.
myself personally, myself, Pastor Bernadette, Elder Leah, and her husband Michael, we went to a Colorado game one year.
mhm.
We watched you do a play up front and personal,
Right.
What game?
live. Oh, he was the real deal.
Yeah.
What game did y'all watch? Which one did they? Who did they?
Colorado State.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that was a good one.
The big game.
Yes, yes. He was the real deal. I
Uh,
mean, he brought them back and won that game, and we saw it live.
Yep.
I said, that is an amazing player.
yeah, he's great. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just I want to interject when we talk about nepotism. Why I think the irony of it when you specifically talk about LeBron James and the Lakers is that the Lakers foundation from the 70s was Jerry Buss, but the entire
Hmm.
Buss family ran the Lakers organization for years, for decades.
Mhm.
So that's not even a fair thing to say because we wouldn't even have the Lakers the way we are without the business side of the Lakers being ran by him
Hmm.
and all of his children. Um,
Right,
to this day, the person running it is his daughter,
right.
Jeannie Buzz.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I just think that's why I said I don't necessarily like the word nepotism. I think it's just a negative thing that we use to put people down or say things shouldn't happen in families. Because you made a good point, Nathaniel. When you look at the Hiltons, the Waltons, that's all family, and we wouldn't have them without family. We wouldn't have these businesses or
Hmm.
these institutions without family. And even in our own family, just to be fair, there's so many doors open for me because of my last name, and I don't have a problem with that. And
Hmm.
for you and your brother and your sister as well. That's just the way that works.
Hmm.
Um, and people of color should be proud of that and not hide that because it just is it is what it is. Um, so we've gone so many different directions that we didn't want to go, and I'm for sure not done. I definitely want to kind of get back into the interest of why we're here today. Nathaniel, when you're getting into writing your articles and different things like that, how do you ensure that your articles are engaging for the reader?
Um. Well, your audience is going to be engaged because it's a specific audience that already likes the sport. So it's
Okay.
not like if I was writing like someone my book audience, I have to hope that people take to it and that they like, because I'm giving it to everyone, and I just hope that people want it. Only people clicking on these articles are people who actually want to read about them anyway. So, like that already is part of the issue is already dissipated right there because they're not going to click on an article if they don't like the. So, like I've written for the Pistons, I've written for the Suns, I've written about the really mainly just the Phoenix Suns and Detroit Pistons, but then other teams too here and there. But like if they love the Pistons, oh okay, they'll click on that, and so that they're already engaged because anything I'm talking about the Pistons, they want to hear. Then the second part of it is I'm usually talking about something that happened in a game or something that happened with a player, and now they're curious because they want to know what's going. Okay, what happened with the game? Happened with
Mm.
what happened with this or that? So it kind of sports writing is so much easier than creative writing because all of the aspects of what you want to write about are right there in the game. I'm
Okay.
right about fourth quarter, how he missed that shot, what he could have done better. All that. I mean, it's right there. I mean, you don't have to think too hard. The hardest part is when there's nothing going on, like during the off season, and you got to be, like, okay, what are we going to write about? Okay, let's write about the best 10 free agents that the Pistons could probably pick up this offseason. Let's talk about the draft. Let's talk about something like that. But it's so much easier because it's not necessarily I want to say I don't know if it's in the nonfiction genre. I guess it kind of is because it's real people.
Mhm.
But sometimes you can add your own little creativity to it. But it's way easier than just creative writing because creative writing, people have to like your ideas and your what comes from your brain. As far as like just sports writing, I'm really just putting what I saw on TV on in the computer and kind of just putting it in a way where it's legible, easy to read, and fun. Fun little, quick little article that you can get a little sound bite from. Oh, okay, cool, and then move on. It's very easy to keep your readers engaged, honestly, unless you just unless you don't know what you're talking about. 'Cause the people that click on these articles, they'll go in the comments and say, "Hey, dude, what are you talking about? That's wrong. That's not what happened." They be knowing that stuff, so you got to be, your editor. You and your editor got to be like this and know what y'all are doing.
So it's clear that you have a knowledge of
That's
sports, at least
yes.
football and basketball. But
Hmm.
what strategies do you use to stay current with sports news and updates and all that's going on?
Like just the same as everyone, X or Instagram or whatever, just whatever is popular, whatever's trending. If you just look up a player and see what's trending, look up a team and see what's trending. It's it, you don't want to plagiarize someone else's work, but you can 100% go and see like, oh, okay, this player is trending for getting in trouble with this, and then you take that and you go write your own article about it, and now I mean, it's just you don't even have to take a single word from what you read, but you just take the idea or the topic, like, okay, this player did this or this coach is about to get fired. Let's talk about why or what they should, like you just take what's happening. I mean, it's real easy to stay current as long as you have a phone. I have the ESPN app and the X app and see what's going on with this team this day, and or I watch the games or go on YouTube. Like it's so many different avenues to stay up to date on what's going on. So or you can do the morning meetings or whatever. Like a lot of times they have them lined up in the spreadsheet. Like this is some of the topics we have, some of the things that's going on, and pick a topic and talk about it.
Hmm.
All right. So how much research, I guess you're answering that, but how much research that goes into your writing for each?
It's 99% research, honestly,
Okay.
because none of it really is coming from your own ideas. It's all coming from you look it up on Google. You're googling stuff all day. Okay, the stats of this game, and you're going on certain websites trying to figure out. Okay, um, just I mean, depending on what you're writing about. I'm I wrote an article about why Dwayne Casey. This was back when Dwayne Casey was still the coach of the Pistons. But or actually better yet, I wrote about Jeremy Grant because when he was about to get traded, we all knew he was going to get traded. We just didn't know what for, how soon, and so I wrote about why he probably shouldn't get traded because then we'd be losing a 20 point per game score. And then I just wrote about all the best games he's had. I wrote about some of the stats he had. I
Okay.
wrote about how the coach wanted to keep a veteran around. I just wrote about all that, and it's 99% research. Honestly, you're researching the whole time. Then you put a little bit of your own because you got to bring up your own hook, and you put your own hook in there. You put your own conclusion in there, and then it's pretty much 99% research. I'd say.
Wow.
Okay.
So,
Now, now, Nathaniel,
Yeah.
we know that the New York Knicks just got eliminated from the playoffs.
Hmm.
Do you think that the New York Knicks should move on from Coach Thibodeau?
that's a good question.
Well, I don't think you should ever move on from anyone unless it moves the needle. So like if I just don't know for sure that getting another coach in there would 100% make a difference. It's almost like the whole Mike Tomlin thing. We should fire Tomlin, but it's like, okay, but does that make you a better team? If
Hmm.
the coach can clearly not coach, then you get rid of him because someone else needs to be there. But he's
Hmm.
gotten them to the playoffs these past 2 years, back to back 50-win seasons. I don't think that getting a new coach is going to be a dramatic difference. I think that the execution was lacking. I think that maybe they need a new assistant in there to
Hmm.
kind of, hey, look, we need to get these guys some rest. Maybe I don't know. I don't know exactly what all needs to happen to make the team better. I do think that they need to figure out what they're gonna do with Towns.
Yeah.
He can't defend to save his life. Is he worth a couple picks? Could they move him? I don't know. I mean, I just think that they went all in on this year. They traded all those picks to get Mikal Bridges. They just traded some more draft capital to get Karl Anthony Towns. They just paid Brunson. I don't know what they're going to do, and they want to avoid that second apron and avoid paying the luxury tax. I don't think getting rid of Coach Thibodeau is the answer. But then again, we see head coaches get fired all the time. Mike Malone, Mike Budenholzer, he just won a championship. What,
Right.
4 years ago? He got, you know,
Hmm.
the Pistons fired Monty Williams after his first year.
That's
I
correct.
I don't know. He could 100% get fired,
Mm.
especially with the Knicks owner. He's crazy. I don't know what they're gonna do.
All right. Another question for you, Nathaniel. Who do you think is going to win? We're down to two teams now. We're down to Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. Who do you think are going to win the NBA championship this year?
I'd probably say the Thunder.
Okay.
I think the Thunder would probably win just because it seems like even though they had a little hiccup against the Nuggets, I think that to come right back and then get another 4-1 sweep and to kind of just cruise. I mean, I didn't cruise past the Nuggets, but they just kind of just been. They beat the Grizzlies down and they beat the Timberwolves down. Like it just seems like their year. I think there's obviously a opportunity where the Pacers beat them because the Pacers aren't a bad team,
Right.
but the Thunder got the MVP and the best defense in the league, and they had like the top 5 offensive rating and the most wins. It just seems like they're the best team, and so I, I'd have to see how game one goes. If they just destroy them, then I think it's probably over. I don't see the Pacers, sticking around. But if it's a tight game, maybe Pacers can take it. But I think the Thunder are best built for the championship. I mean, they have so much great defense. They have great length. They have great players everywhere. Shea is going to be doing his thing. Great shooters. They can shoot the three ball. It's going to be fun to watch, but I think the Thunder got it.
Hmm. Yeah, because they're both. Because I agree with that because they both are running teams.
They're both running teams.
Hmm.
I'm not, but you can count on Shea more than you can count on Tyrese. Tyrese has had, I think, 5 games with less than 10 points this playoffs. Shea
Mm.
hasn't had one. Like he's going to get he's going to get his points. Like Tyrese, hit or miss. He's not a. He's kind of like Magic. If you remember Magic,
Mm-hmm.
dominate a game, but only have about 10 or 11 points. But he'll be like facilitating and getting the ball to other players and assisting. Tyrese is a true point guard, but he can shoot better than Magic. So I don't know. But we need you in this day and age. You need your best player to drop 25 or 30 every game, or else you're probably going to lose. So I don't know. We'll see.
Mm.
We'll
Okay.
see.
All right.
Awesome. So, how do you handle covering or writing for teams that you don't normally follow or even particularly like? How do you deal with that?
Um. It so when I went to fan sided, they told me that they only had 2 open teams. I think it was the Timberwolves and the Pistons. But they told me I could write for the Pistons because I lived in Michigan. Um, I didn't want to write for the Pistons. I don't even really like the Pistons that much. But it is what it is. It's a job. It's something to do. It's kind of fun. So you know, you get creative with it, especially when the team sucks. You got to really think about, okay, what am I going to do to make this interesting? Like when the team is good, it's so much to write about. Then you get extra weeks because they're in the playoffs. Like it's just so much to write about. But when the team is bad, you got to really get creative because there's not. I mean, how many times can you say in one season, man, we're on a 10-game losing streak? What's next? Like, there's only so many ways to reiterate it. So I'm just like, okay, it really shows your writing chops. Almost like when when a game is out of hand for sports commentators and it's like a blowout by 30 in the third quarter, you really have to fill the void with, it really shows who's the better sports commentators because the game is over and you don't want people to click off the channel. So now you got to find a way to make it interesting. So I do think it's fun. Right. I like writing about any team. I don't really care who I'm writing about. My preference, I wrote about the Phoenix Suns for the Peach Basket when I first started because he told me I could write about whatever team I wanted to, and I liked the Phoenix Suns because Chris Paul was on the team, and so that was fun. It was fun writing about a team you like because you have a little bit more energy when you write about them because you watch them every game and you're in love with the players and the team and the atmosphere. But when it's a team that you don't care for too much, it's more like it feels more like work. You know what I'm saying? Like feels
Mhm.
more like this is my job. Let me just clock in and do this. And get it over with. Figure out something. You know. I mean, I like writing though, so it's fun. I don't really care.
Okay.
It definitely sounds like it. That is amazing. So you
Mm-hmm.
say you didn't like writing for the Pistons. Now it kind of hurts my heart now, Nathaniel. Now, see, I was during the Bad Boys Pistons era when the Pistons was the Kings in Detroit. So
Mm-hmm.
it hurts a little bit, but I'm gonna let that slide.
Pistons don't know what they want to do. They getting better though. They were in the playoffs this year. They got a good little squad.
Yeah.
Their problem is they need to get younger. They traded away all their young players. Not all of them, but they do need to get younger. I mean, their top scorers was Dennis Schroeder and Malik Beasley. These guys are 30 plus. They need to get younger, and they need to get younger fast because if you look at the landscape of the NBA, young teams are in. The Rockets, the
Mm-hmm.
Thunder, the Pacers. The Knicks aren't super young, but some of their best players are a little younger. If you just look at some of the best teams, like the Timberwolves, the Lakers are old. That's why they got beat how they got beat. But the Timberwolves are young. I mean, Anthony Edwards is 23 years old. Like you got to get younger and you got to get faster. I think Cade obviously is a great player. Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey. He was hurt all year. If he was playing, who knows what could happen. So they just got to get, Ron Holland. They got a young core that they can build around. I just want them to continue to build on that. Maybe get another shooter in there. Maybe get another big. Figure out what they don't have an identity, in my opinion. I don't know if they want to play defense, they want to play offense. I don't really know what's going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You need to figure it out.
Nathaniel, let me ask you, since writing means that you're kind of evaluating, what do you believe is the greatest challenge most athletes are facing today? I'm going to ask you from the college standpoint and the pro standpoint.
The greatest challenge, I think college players it's probably easier than it's ever been, honestly, for a lot of college players. I mean, they don't even have to go to class anymore. They can do all their classes online. Like, it's crazy. Like, they just do their classes online and then go right to practice. I'd probably say the hardest thing for them though is just maybe dealing with all that money. They don't know what to do with it. Or if anything, they probably um I don't. I mean, it's probably like as far as challenges go,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the scrutiny. I mean, like I said, there's channels, there's websites and pages that are solely dedicated to sports and sports shows, and they're getting treated like usually it used to be college players were amateurs, they weren't professionals. Now they're getting treated and scrutinized like professionals. We'll
Right.
talk about them as if they've been playing football at the highest level for their entire life, and a lot of them have been playing football for a long time, but they used to be a little bit off limits because they're like 19, 20, but now they go in on it. Like, this guy made a terrible pass, and they lay on him. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that, I mean, and it's rightfully so. I mean, they're getting paid like professionals. They're getting treated like professionals. They fly private now. I mean, you want to live that professional lifestyle, you're gonna get treated like one. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest problem, is just the scrutiny. I mean, and then for professionals, I'd probably say the biggest problem or the biggest challenge for them is trying not to be, old milk. And what I mean by that is, everybody, when you go to the store, you scrape your hand trying to reach past that old milk to get to that new
Right.
stuff in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So once you hit about 30, everyone's trying to pre-retire you. They said Derrick Henry wouldn't play good ever again, and he just had almost 2,000 yards.
Correct.
So it's just
Mm-hmm.
trying not to be a has been or whatever. Like, just I mean, once you hit 30, they don't even really want to give you a third contract. So I just think that for professional athletes, it's that sweet spot between about 21 to about 28 is where you probably are in your best shape. But a lot of guys, if you really are a great player, you can play past that. But people
Mm-hmm.
don't know the average career span in the NFL is about 2.5 years.
Right.
You see players like Tom Brady play for 25 and they think that's the norm. That's an outlier. Most
Mm-hmm.
players, 2.5, 3 years, they're gone.
Right.
You probably never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're out with the old, in with the new. The new rookies are
Mm-hmm.
coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And teams are always cognizant of, okay, because you can only play so many players. So if you got your first contract, you can only pay so many players. So are we going to pick up his fifth year option? If we don't, are we going to trade him? If we don't, are we going to cut him? We need to figure out what we're going to do. Do we bring in the rookies? Which is why a lot of times players don't even see their second contract. They get traded or cut, and then they bring in a rookie to replace you. Because if you don't have the production that we want, we're not going to pay you another amount of money when we can reset the clock. Go get a rookie, pay him $40 million, and we'll have him for 5 years, and we don't have to pay him anything. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just, that's the biggest challenge for professionals, you know. And so I think that it's definitely hard, playing. I mean, these players get paid a lot to play a kids game, so to speak, but it's definitely still a challenge, though.
Awesome. Well, Dad, what do you think the challenge, one of the challenges is?
What the concerning?
Uh, what do you think one of the greatest challenges is that football players, football players are facing right now that you see? Because I know that you're a person who dissects the game a whole lot.
Challenges the football players are facing today.
Mm-hmm.
Staying healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Staying healthy, but because they want a long career.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to stay on the field or court. But we speak football. They want to stay on the field as long as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Injuries play, of course, a big role in that. So keeping themselves in good shape. I think that's their major challenge to keep
Really?
those checks coming.
Yeah.
Why do you see it as a challenge right now?
Well, because it takes so much discipline
Okay.
to keep your body
Mm-hmm.
operating at that peak level.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't get up one day and roll out of bed and you're there. This is something you have to commit to
Yeah.
every day,
Mm-hmm.
month, week after week, month after month, all year long.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I remember where football players would have time off and they'd work another job,
Mm-hmm.
then they come back to training camp. But now it's not. It's all year long now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does make it a bigger
So,
challenge.
so back in the day, they get paid a certain salary when the season was over. The check stopped. Those players, back in the '60s and '70s, had to go get a job somewhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then once season started, they leave their job and come back to football.
Mm,
But now it's they never stop.
wow.
So it takes discipline to keep that up.
That is a very good point.
hmm And every player don't have that type of discipline.
Nah.
You know, a lot of people think because these guys can play football, they just automatically disciplined. They're not. They're not. Some are just gifted and talented, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not. They're not disciplined. So that's what I would say.
That's
Yeah.
the point. Nathaniel, we have a question here in the chat. Would you ever consider writing for boxing? We have one of our followers here who's interested in becoming a heavyweight boxer.
hmm
I don't watch enough boxing to ever. I mean, I know about boxing enough to hold a conversation with someone or to watch it and understand what I'm looking at. I just haven't been engulfed in boxing long enough to write about it confidently. Maybe if I spent some more time with it,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. But boxing is in a really tough place because I was reading about it a while back, and it's just it's so. First of all, none of the top fighters want to fight each other because they don't want to be. They want to stay undefeated. So now you got Bud Crawford and Javante Davis and all these guys who want to stay undefeated. But they don't want to fight the top guys because once you get that one loss, which they assume could possibly happen if they fought another top guy. So everybody wants to stay in their corner and keep all their belts and fight the hand-picked guys that are throwing at them. And that's the first problem. The second one is I think it's just too confusing to the consumer. All these different championships, I don't even understand what half of that means, and I don't think the consumer understands what half of it. Why are there so many belts?
Mm.
I think there's a lot of. I don't think boxing writing for boxing is for me. I don't want to say it's not a good career. I'm sure there are a lot of people who make a lot of money writing for boxing. I think writing for the UFC is probably more lucrative because the UFC is coming up right now and everyone watches that. But I don't know. I don't watch it enough to confidently write about it. I don't really know if I would be. I mean, I like writing, so maybe I would be interested. But I don't know. There's certain sports that, like hockey, golf, that I don't know. It's just you. I watch basketball and I watch football, so I would be more interested in writing about those. It wouldn't feel like such a chore to watch the games because you got to watch the games to write about them. It wouldn't feel like so much of a chore because I watch them anyway. So it's like, okay, I can watch them and then just write about
Okay.
hmm
All right. So um this has been interesting. I'm learning so much and our listeners are learning so much. So I
Okay.
want to go a little bit deeper. Are you all good? You good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
I want to go a little bit deeper, and this is for Nathaniel and for Bishop Dwight, since y'all both played football. This is meant to be. I'm going to say kind of quick, but I think y'all are not going to do it quick. So Nathaniel, we'll start with you. Who is your favorite quarterback?
All time Peyton Manning. Right now, Lamar.
All right, Daddy.
Favorite quarterback.
Troy Aikman.
What's that? What did he say? What did he say, Nate?
Troy Aikman.
Troy Aikman. No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't. I would say Lamar Jackson.
Okay,
Okay.
Hmm.
that's of all time.
For all time.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Even all them years you've been watching football, wasn't nobody.
All those years of watching football. I mean, there were some great ones,
To
but to me, nobody's game compares to
Lamar.
Lamar Jackson's.
Wow.
I love Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
And a
I
lot.
watched the Ravens to watch Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, yeah. Lamar Jackson is. You ever heard them say the kids? They say him. Lamar Jackson is him.
He's him. I agree, Nathaniel. I agree.
Oh,
Hmm.
all right. So let's see. Who is your favorite um running back? Nathaniel.
I'd probably say Adrian Peterson. He's the one I watched that I enjoyed watching the most. Right now, maybe Saquon, maybe Derek. I'm not sure. There's a lot of good ones, but Adrian Peterson is probably my all-time favorite.
What team does he play for?
He played for the Vikings for the most time, but he also went to the Lions and the Redskins and the Cardinals. He moved around after a while, but he was with the Vikings for a long time.
All
One of
right.
the greatest all time too.
Hmm.
Daddy.
Well, of course, there's a lot of great running backs I could choose,
Mm-hmm.
but my favorite, if I had to pick one, my favorite, I enjoyed watching him play,
Mm-hmm.
would be Walter Payton.
Wow.
I was not alive when he.
Oh, he was an awesome. I mean, I could say the Gale Sayers, I could say the Billy Sims, I could say of course, the Jim Browns,
Marshall Falk
and yeah, all those were great. I can
and
go on and on and on and on. But I enjoyed just every time I watched Walter Payton.
right,
Yeah, the game was like, wow,
yeah,
amazing.
Wow.
Hmm.
All right. Who is your favorite wide receiver, Nathaniel?
probably Megatron. No, well, I don't know, cause yeah, probably Megatron. Oh well, Calvin Johnson. He's probably my favorite wide receiver. I think I'd probably say him, either him or Demarius Thomas. He's a little bit less known. He ended up dying a few years back, and but he was one of the guys that helped the Broncos win that Super Bowl. He was one of my favorites, but probably Megatron.
Okay. All right. Daddy.
All right. Again, of course, I can pick a lot of other receivers, but one I would have to reach for at this moment in time that I thought was just, to me, most of the time unstoppable. I had to reach back for him,
All right.
and that would be Paul Warfield.
Okay.
Oh, I don't even know who that is.
Oh, Google him and what he ran like a deer.
Oh yeah, what team did
Oh my God, amazing!
he play for?
He spent most of his time with the Cleveland Browns. Then he was
Okay.
moved on to the Miami Dolphins.
Oh wow.
But amazing wide receiver.
Wow. All right. This is interesting. All
He
right.
was an excellent, you know, route runner, Nate. He could run a route. Mm,
Okay.
mm. So, throw you off. You don't know where he's going.
Yeah, that's underrated now. Guys don't really be route technicians anymore. They like the
Right.
50, they like the 50-50 ball. Just throw it up to me.
Right. No, he ran precise routes.
Wow.
Hmm.
All right. All right. We're learning. All right. Nathaniel, who is your favorite defensive end?
Mm.
Defensive end. Uh, I mean, I would probably say I don't really know a lot of them. I know more of like just now we just edge rusher. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're an outside linebacker or a defensive end, you kind of are just edge rusher. You just put your hand in the dirt or you stand up sometimes. I'd probably say, I mean, my favorite edge rusher is Von Miller. But if you're talking about an actual defensive end who plays defensive end, maybe DeMarcus Ware.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And who's he play for? You got to say teams. Everybody don't know who y'all talking about.
Oh, he played for the Cowboys for forever, but then he went to my Broncos. He
Hmm.
helped win a Super Bowl.
Hmm.
You see my backdrop is the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right, Daddy.
Defensive end.
Hmm.
That's an easy one.
Okay.
To me, the best of all time to ever in the history to play defensive end was Deacon Jones.
Okay.
And right now he was back in the 70s,
Hmm.
but Deacon Jones was a monster.
Wow.
Now, Deacon Jones is one of the players that originated the head slap. That's outlawed now. You can't do it now. But the head slap, when you try to take off, you slap the guy's head and he spin and you move him out of the way. And I got that from him watching Deacon Jones play. You
Okay.
know, head slap.
Mhm.
And those, I remember when I first used it, I was at a practice, and our coach said he wanted us to go against all the offensive linemen, which we had an excellent offensive line. And I used the head slap on all of them one at a time, and I blew by them every time because they didn't know how to stop the head slap. You see, so you hit him, so you slap the head one way, you
Yeah.
slap the head the other way, then you
Yeah.
drive him in the face. Then you move him out of the way, and they didn't know what to do with it. So that Deacon Jones was my man.
That's
Okay.
violent.
I think that's illegal hands to the face now.
Yeah, all of that you can't do now. It's all illegal.
Wow.
Yes.
It sounded like you was having fun though, Daddy.
Oh, it was a lot of fun because I knew they couldn't stop it, and I know most guys at that level wasn't coached to know how to stop that. I knew that.
Wow. All right. Well, since we talked about cornerbacks earlier, Nathaniel, who's your favorite cornerback?
Um, I don't really know a lot of the cornerbacks beforehand. I mean, I know some of them, but I don't know. I haven't watched enough of their tape to give a accurate perception on them. I mean, the cop out answer is just say Dion or somebody. But right now, I watch a lot of the cornerbacks from when I first started watching, so I can't really go all time, but I can go right now. My favorite guy to watch probably is Pat Surtain.
Okay.
That's my
Okay.
boy. I just don't know a lot of the cornerbacks from back in the. I know their names, but I don't know the
Hmm.
tape like Darrell Reeves, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know their tape well enough to. It'd just be a phony answer. I don't know their tape well
I
enough.
hear you. I hear you. Mm.
Daddy.
Deion Sanders. That's an easy one.
Yeah, I never watched him play, but I know you.
Oh, Nate, I tell you, I'm talking absolutely no one even close
Wow.
to his game. What Dion to me was like the Muhammad Ali of cornerbacks.
Oh,
Wow.
I mean, he would tell you what he's going to do, tell you can't get by him.
was Dion better than Ronnie Lott?
Whoever you name, to me,
Night Train Lane?
whoever it is, Knight St. Lombardi, I mean, all those guys,
Okay.
Dion was phenomenal. Again, I would turn on a game when I finally back when he played with the Falcons or the 49ers or the Cowboys. When I knew they was coming on television, I watched them to watch. One of the main reasons was to watch Dion.
I seen somebody say, I don't know if it was true, but he played for the 49ers and he won a Super Bowl. And,
Hmm.
because, and I guess they had beat the Cowboys to get there. And then Jerry Jones went and took Dion from the
Right.
49ers and brought him to the Cowboys so they could win the Super Bowl. And they ended up winning the Super Bowl. I was like, that's like
Amazing.
good when they like, look, we need him. We need him so we can
Right.
win.
And that year they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Wow.
We need him.
He was a dynamite player, Nathaniel. I'm telling you, he was amazing.
And he returned kicks too.
Oh, nobody like him. Whoever you name, he's number one to me in my book with that.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
even no, Devin Hester though, you know.
Oh no, and Hester was a dynamite player. Now, don't get me wrong, Hester was dynamite. But,
Okay.
but when Dion caught that ball,
Yeah.
you like, everybody he could take this all the way or have a big game. You
Yeah.
knew that.
Yeah.
So
Wow. All right. Nathaniel, who's your favorite center?
Oh, getting into the positions that I don't know too well. I mean, I know some centers, but they don't really. Ooh, the more popular ones are the guys on the outside. Let me see. Mm, I mean, he might have to pass me. He might know more centers than me. I don't know a lot of centers. I could probably name a couple of them, but right now my favorite guy is uh maybe Creed Humphrey
hmm
or Tyler Linderbaum. Those are two of the best guys in the league right now. But I can't do it all time. I don't know too many of the all time great centers.
All right. Daddy?
but I feel the same way Nathaniel feels
Okay.
about that. But there is one center, I can't remember his last name, but he was a top tier center in the era he was playing. But and I know he played for the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins,
Mhm.
and his first name was Dwight.
All right.
That's the best I can give you.
That's all right. That's all right. All right. Who was your favorite fullback, Nathaniel?
Like real fullback, or you mean like running back?
Real fullback.
Mm. Um, my I'd probably say maybe
Hmm.
Kyle Juszczyk, maybe. I think he's the only fullback really. He won all the All Pros. Patrick Ricard. There's only a couple of them left. Not every team has a fullback anymore.
Right.
I know. Back in your day, you probably know some more fullbacks than I do. They
Mhm.
don't really have them anymore. Probably Patrick Ricard though. That's my boy.
All right. Daddy?
Hmm. Let's see. Top fullback. Okay, let me ask, you mean actual fullback or power back? I
I'm gonna
might be the answer is
give,
better.
I'm gonna give you the liberty to answer the way that you feel.
Yeah, and if you went power back,
Mhm.
uh, because there are some power backs wasn't categorized as fullbacks, but they had power.
Okay.
Let's see here. I would have to go with I have to go with Jim Brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Yes. Defies power.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Okay, we'll do a few
Now,
more.
close second,
Okay.
because he was a dynamite power back. I'm going to see what's his name. He played with the Miami Dolphins. Oh, I'm going to blank on this man's name. Uh-oh, I had to come back to it. But he played with the Miami Dolphins. Zonka, Zonka.
Okay.
Zonka was scary, scary strong.
Really?
Oh God, I said that. That's one player. I mean, if you thought you was bad, you wouldn't want to catch him full speed, 1-on-1 at the 50-yard line,
Or
because that would be a challenge.
or beast mode.
Oh yeah, Beast Mode was the power, the dynamite power back.
Yeah,
You're
beast
right,
mode.
Nathaniel.
He had grown men scared to tackle him.
Oh my goodness. Beast Mode, yeah, you're right, Nathanian. He's the one that went one game. They said he was running so hard he caused a earthquake.
Wow. That's
That's some hard running.
wow.
Yeah.
All right. Nathaniel, who's your favorite defensive end?
We did that one already,
Oh,
man.
did we? All right.
Oh, you do tight end though.
All right. That's what I was looking at. I'm sorry. My notes are going all over the place. Tight end. All right.
Uh, probably Shannon Sharp. Uh, Probably
Really?
Shannon Sharp or just because. Well, I didn't really know him until um obviously he got into the media because he before me. But I went back and watched some of his tape and when he retired, he was leading. He had the most reception yards and reception touchdowns. He had almost every tight end record, when he retired. Right now, though, who I like to watch, I mean, it's probably easily probably Travis Kelsey, but
Mm, very good one.
I know a lot. I know Rob is a good one. I don't like
Right.
Rob that much though.
All right. Daddy.
All right. My favorite uh, tight end, again, he was one of the players I would tune in to watch play. I had to reach back for him too.
Mhm.
His name was John Mackey.
Okay,
He played with the Baltimore Colts.
Okay.
that's way back.
And brother Nate, Google him. You'll
Okay.
see you see why I chose him.
Okay. He was a white guy, or black guy.
Black guy,
Okay.
strong, big. I mean, ooh, my God,
John Mackey.
power, very
Okay.
strong. That was back when the tight ends wasn't like a tight end and wide receiver. He was just a tight end.
Was he mainly blocking?
He block and catch.
Okay.
You do both of them.
All right. Yeah, I gotta go check him out. That's back in the
Check
70s.
him out, John Mackey, and tell me what you think.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Mackey. All right.
All right. Well, we've been going on for a while. I want to ask a few final questions. We've seen football, sports change so much over several decades, and I'm enjoying the difference in hearing from when Daddy played to Nathaniel played, and even
Mm-hmm.
to current times. I was thinking about we were talking about quarterbacks earlier, and I was thinking about Daddy. You saw the game when Doug Williams played. What was that like?
Amazing game. I mean, it was a game that made us proud. How he played.
Mm-hmm.
when he played that game and the way he was throwing these spirals, these long bombs and touchdowns, I mean accurate.
Wow.
Oh, he was at the top of his game that day.
Wow.
Beautiful passes. I mean, the wide receiver was running, and the ball just fall right in their hands.
Wow.
Oh, oh, he was in a zone. And to see how he blew out the Broncos. I'm not trying to poo on the Broncos, but that's the way they played. And uh, it was amazing. It was an amazing, historic game that made us proud. I'll never forget it.
Wow.
Never forget it.
Wow.
Yes.
I remember, 'cause, I was much younger then, but I remember um, we were traveling, I think coming home, and you recorded that game. And,
Yes.
as younger, not understanding history, but I remember you just saying, I have to see this game tonight. I have to see it. And
Yes.
older, understanding how historic that was. And to today, still hear people talk about it, and hear him talk about it, and understanding that we still haven't had a lot of black quarterbacks in the NFL to this day.
Mhm.
What that meant, I think it's so special. But I always enjoy hearing other people say what that meant, to see it, because I remember, being in the company of other people watching that game and just
Yes.
hearing
It was
that
amazing.
pride. It was just amazing.
Yes. Nathaniel, have you seen that game?
No, I haven't.
The whole game is on YouTube. I mean, from start to finish.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Good
gonna
morning, guys. I am here finally.
Okay.
It's been a long morning. We have
YouTube that game, Nathaniel. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Ma, you didn't ask us who our favorite linebacker was, but I bet you me and Papa say the same person.
Okay, round to it. All right, I just wanted to get that with Doug Williams, out, because it had been on my mind actually since we started. Welcome, Michael Loud Jr., to the chat. He's still at work, actually. He's an anchor for KUNC radio here in Greeley, Colorado, and just so happens to be my husband. Does a lot with sports coverage, has been in the media for 32 years. And so we're welcoming him to the conversation today. Michael, we have been asking everybody their favorite player for different NFL positions. So we're going to throw you right into the mix. So Nathaniel, who is your favorite linebacker?
Gotta go with the greatest, Lawrence Taylor, right? Right, Papa?
Well, now you're speaking my language because I'm a
Oh,
Giants fan,
yes.
so that's right up my alley.
We all three of us in agreement, Lawrence Taylor?
All agreement.
No question
Lawrence
about that one.
Taylor.
Close second, Ray Lewis.
My late father was a
Oh,
huge Lawrence Taylor fan.
of course, Ray Lewis would be a close second.
I never actually watched Lawrence Taylor, but I don't think anybody can. You can't start the word linebacker off without saying his name, though.
He's another one, Nathaniel. I would tune in and watch the Giants just to watch Lawrence Taylor. He was that good.
They don't have a
Well,
lot of his tape on YouTube. I tried to look some of it up, but I wish I had seen it. He's back in the day. I wish I had seen it though.
It should be a lot of. I see a lot of it when I look him up.
Well, I mean, they got highlights, but it's different when you're in the game and you
Yeah.
watch. They only show every now and when he gets a sack. But I like watching the inner workings of a play. I like to see a linebacker blow up a fullback and push him back into the hole. And
Well, you might need to go ahead on YouTube, YouTube their actual games because you can get the whole game.
you can get the whole games on. Oh, I didn't know.
Yes.
Okay.
The Giants versus whoever, you'll start seeing them that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
my late father was a huge Lawrence Taylor fan.
I watch whole games all the time.
That was
Okay.
his favorite all-time player growing up was Lawrence Taylor. He has pictures of him when he went to hang out with him when he used to work at the old Giants Stadium games back in the day. He still has his old jersey that he bought years ago when he was starting to make a name for himself in the league. So Vince's Lawrence Taylor was a staple in the Lyle household because he was that guy. He was, as they called it, like the kids say, he was him.
He was him.
He is him. He is him.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Abdul Carter tried to get his number?
Yes.
And he
No one
told
will ever
him,
wear that
make your
number like
own
he did.
legacy.
There'll never be another Lawrence Taylor that can wear that number like he did ever in this league. I don't care how many times you try to emulate or how many duplications you put out there. No one. In fact, he was so violent, he broke Joe Theismann's leg one year. Remember that?
Right. I
What?
remember
You
that.
remember that? He broke Joe Theismann's leg in a game against Washington in the mid '80s. It was a play that he leaped over 3 defenders and caught Joe Theismann and broke his leg right in the middle of the play.
Right.
He was vicious. He was no joke. He was
No.
an animal.
Mm.
Now, he might have been crazy off the field with his antics, of course. We all know that. But when it came time to play on Sundays, he was at his best.
He was unstoppable. You couldn't stop him.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Of course, he had a coach like Bill Parcells that used to motivate him. So I guess, and Bill Belichick was also a part of that team, about that coaching staff too. So there's that.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, y'all, we had a 3-way tie. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. All right. All right. So let's go back through these. Nathaniel, who was your favorite safety?
My favorite safety all time. See, I only started watching football in 2012, if I'm being honest. So a lot of my football history is just who I went back and kind of looked up from time to time. I'd probably say all time, out of respect, I'd probably say it's probably Troy Polamalu.
Okay.
The only player that I ever saw physically in a game, as far as one of the greatest safeties. Some of the older safeties I didn't watch. Cam Chancellor was one of my favorites too, the Legion of Boom. But I can't go back too far. I can't go back like to the 80s and 90s. I'm sure it has some really good safeties. I never watched Ed Reed play. I know he was pretty good.
Oh, yes, he was dynamite.
I never watched Brian Dawkins.
Brian Dawkins was dynamite.
Never watched any of those guys, but I'm sure they were great.
All right. That's fine. All right, Daddy.
I was trying to remember this guy's name. Michael, you might remember this guy's name because he was a Bronco.
Who was that?
The guy who knocked the Nigerian Nightmare down.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He played for the Broncos, you said?
Yeah, wasn't he a Bronco?
I think he played for. Are you talking about? Now you're testing my knowledge here about the Broncos. Because the only safety I know right now is Patrick Saunders. Patrick Saunders right now, as I know.
That wasn't his. I don't think that was his name.
Patrick Sertan, excuse me, not Patrick.
You remember? You remember that one big African running back who no one could tackle? They called him the Nigerian Nightmare.
He played for the Chiefs, actually. I know you're talking about.
Right, him. Well,
And
this
I'm
guy,
trying to remember his name.
this safety, met him in the hole and knocked him down by itself.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure I can remember. I'm trying to remember his name. It
wasn't. That is like they called it. That was a hit. That was heard around the world.
Wow.
That
It was a hit. I mean, if you ever Google it and pull him up, woo!
Yeah.
My God. Just because of that, I got to give him my.
Okay. It was Christian Okoye. That's who it was.
Right.
Christian Okoye. That was him.
That was the running back.
Yep, that was the running back. He was called the Nigerian Nightmare. Christian Okoye. He played for the Chiefs.
Right. I can't think of the safety for the Broncos that hit him. I can't think of his name.
I'm trying to remember who that Broncos player was too, because I remember that did make headlines. Everybody was saying, "Wow." Oh, it was Steve Atwater. That's
who it was.
He flattened Steve Atwater. Steve Atwater flattened him. That's right.
Oh, it was a hit. I never. Oh, one of the best hits I ever seen in my life.
That's right. Steve Atwater and him were involved in that epic hit. Yeah, that epic hit. Yeah.
Because the hole opened up,
That's right.
Wow.
opened
Steve
up
Atwater
wide,
had
big
the
hole,
plans.
and so it's like, oh, here he comes. Because he's
Steve
a hole
Atwater had
like
other
that,
plans on
he
that
would
play. He
run
said, "Oh no,
everybody
you don't."
over. The hole opened up, Atwater fielded, put that
Steve
shoulder
Atwater said,
on Okoye, knocked him down,
My.
stopped him in his tracks.
"Yep." And both of them, ironically enough, are Hall of Famers. How about that?
They're not?
Well, no, that's what they both are. They both are ironically Hall of
Okay,
Famers.
okay.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. That play was famous, but they both went into the Hall of Fame in spite of that, though, because that play was such a big play in that sport. Like anytime you think about hits, they always talk about that one hit.
Wow.
Now, Nathaniel talked about Troy Polamalu, who put some serious, crazy hits on people, but
Right.
I don't think this one can compare to what Troy Polamalu did, because Steve
Mm.
Atwater put the lumber on Okoye. It was ridiculous,
Oh,
that hit.
oh. Have you ever seen that hit, Nathaniel?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I do
You
watch a
gotta
lot
look it up.
of football hit videos. I might have seen it, but
Look that up. I tell you, I guarantee you that one, Nathaniel, is going to amaze you.
okay.
Because Atwater wasn't a big man.
Right, no.
No, he wasn't a big man. So he's like, Atwater coming against Okoye at full speed. Because
Right.
Okoye was like what, 250 at that time? You think, Michael, 250? About
250,
6'3",
250,
6'4"?
260, yeah. About 260.
Big guy. And
Okoye, oh, he was
built
big.
like a tank.
He
Wow.
was. He was. He was built like a tank. He was.
Yeah.
That's why it was such an amazing play. Like,
Yeah.
see that where it did this to this guy? He did what?
You're right.
He stopped him dead in his tracks.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Michael, who was your favorite safety of all time?
Well, did Deion Sanders play safety? He did, right?
Cornerback.
He played cornerback. Okay.
Mhm.
I would say I would go with it there. Troy was one of my favorites too. I like the hits that he put on people too, because that's the thing about being a safety. You gotta defend that receiver with the tightness, and Troy was just not letting anybody get past him. He just wasn't. I'm not a Steelers fan either, but I really liked watching him lay the lumber on some of those receivers
Absolutely.
that run him.
All right.
Yeah, and the thing about a safety is like a linebacker that's playing defensive back.
Right.
Right. But they can move though. That's just it. That's the thing.
Yes.
No matter how skilled you are, they are just as fast or probably faster than you are.
Right. That's correct.
It's all about how they get the jump on you too. Because a lot like when Troy got the jump on those receivers, it was like, no.
He
Troy's
was
not letting that
amazing.
happen.
He was amazing.
And if he did catch it, you know what's coming if you were right by him. You know what's coming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned defensive back because that's my next question. Nathaniel, who's your favorite defensive back?
I think earlier I said Patrick Surtain.
All right.
Him and his dad, both of them together.
All right. All right. We did that one already?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I think we did. I think we covered all of the positions.
All right. I think I was trying to make sure I included Michael. Well, let Michael answer that one. We'll move on.
Which one?
Mm-hmm.
Your favorite defensive back?
Well, first you was cornerback, then you asked about the safety.
All right. Well, let's let him answer. Who's your favorite cornerback of all time, Michael?
Well, cornerback is Coach Prime.
That was common.
Coach Prime. Coach Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your favorite defensive back?
Favorite defensive back? I'm trying to think. Going back to my Giants nostalgia here. Who was the defensive back for the Giants that back in the day when we had that Super Bowl run? Was it what position did Harry Carson play? He wasn't a defensive back, right? No, he was a linebacker.
He was a linebacker.
No. Wow. That's a tough one, hon. I'm not sure if I can get that one because that wasn't one of my favorite positions. Quarterback and safety were my top two defensive positions. I love those positions more than any of the position in football.
Everybody else answered that one. Who was your favorite quarterback?
Who was my favorite quarterback?
Yes.
Put me on the spot here. Okay, well, I'm about to go nostalgia here. My favorite quarterback was Eli Manning.
Okay.
That was my Eric. He won 2 championships and he beat Thomas Patrick Brady twice.
All right. All right. So we have some questions here in the chat, Nathaniel. Who was your favorite football coach? Let's do NFL and college.
My favorite coach. See, I don't have a favorite NFL coach. I don't think I do. I feel like most of those guys don't know what they're doing. Probably Mike Tomlin. I love Mike Tomlin just because he's one of the only black head coaches ever. And not only that, he's been coaching for 20 something years and, as a coach for the Steelers. So I'd probably say Tomlin. But as far as college goes, um, Coach Prime right now, he's the one that makes me love college football right now. But I mean, I guess you can't go wrong with Saban.
Okay. All right, Daddy.
I'll have to go with, it's hard for me to pick from these three because I like all three of them.
Okay.
I'll start off with Tom Landry,
All right.
who was the Cowboys quarterback and coach, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
coach. Innovative, creative mind. Then Jimmy Johnson, I like the way he put a team together.
All right.
And Coach Prime,
All right.
Coach
my
Prime.
favorite three.
You did some heavy hitters. All right. Michael, NFL and college.
Well, college right now, like Nathaniel said, Coach Prime.
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing bias because I cover the team here and I do root for Coach Prime. So right now, college football, it's always about Coach Prime all day, every day.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a no-brainer. NFL, there's 2 of them I have actually. First would be Bill Parcells
Mm-hmm.
because he was the innovator, as I mentioned, in the early 80s and 90s. He turned that Giants franchise inside out.
Yes.
And his hardcore antics were part of that reason why they were such a dominant team. And they probably one of the toughest teams they had that you could actually come across in the 90s that actually could stand up to a team like San Francisco. Because they had some epic battles in the late 80s and 90s where San Fran was one of the top teams in the NFC, but the Giants were the thorn on their side, and they were the ones that could beat them. And they did it twice. And my third would be Tom Coughlin, because Tom Coughlin brought us 2 championships. I like Tom Coughlin.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Now, Bishop, I just heard through the grapevine, speaking about Doug Williams previously, that you actually got to meet him.
Yes.
All right. Can you share about that?
Well, Doug Williams was a good brother.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how tall he was till I walked up on him.
Wow.
I knew he had height, but I didn't picture him that tall. Um, the size, to me, is like, you mean to tell me a guy this big was a quarterback? You see why it was hard to bring him down. Because I would see games where they would grab hold of Doug Williams, and Doug Williams would throw a ball with people hanging on him. I said, now I can see why that was happening. We had Doug, we invited and had Doug come to our church to share some things. Wonderful brother. He threw me a pass, and I caught a pass from Doug Williams. It's just I have nothing but good to say about Doug Williams.
That's amazing.
Nothing but good.
Too bad that's before camera phones. You didn't get to have that captured.
Right. I wish I could have.
Wow. All of us here are believers, and there are some coaches who are very public in their faith in God. We have like Coach Dungy, Coach Sweeney, Deion Sanders, John Harborough. What does that feel like, Bishop, as a pastor, those of us who have a faith in God, to see people who are in such a public space to so unashamed with how they feel about their faith in God, starting with Nathaniel?
Oh, I mean, it proves that well, I don't even want to say just Christianity, but just faith in God is still one of the most, I should say, well respected things in the world. Like, you won't find too many people that have a problem with, I mean, something like this being, I mean, every school I've ever been to, any team I've ever been part of, we always pray before the game. When I was in high school, we prayed before the game. I'm sure in NFL they pray before the game, and it's just something you do. Before you do something, you do like this. Like, it's just something that's well known and well reversed through everywhere. Like, I don't think it's ever going to be looked down upon to love God. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just something that everyone is okay with, and it's usually voluntary. They don't force it on you, but it's nothing that how could it even be controversial? It's just, you love God, you do this. So
All right, Bishop.
Well, I think it shows that these guys who are bold with their beliefs and trust and acknowledging Christ in front of the world or the public, it shows that their boldness and confidence,
Right.
strength.
I agree. All right, Michael.
Same thing as Dad said here. I agree with him on that as well. I mean, it's not just not just coaches. I mean, I should have mentioned this a while back, but another one of my other favorite quarterbacks was Tim Tebow.
Right.
Very religious on the weekends. He always had scriptures on his black face paint. And I
Mhm.
was always wondering what kind of scripture he had set up for each Saturday he was playing, because he was very religious. He still is to this very day.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why he was one of my favorites too. And
Mm.
not only did he play well, he was very religious, and it showed that he had faith, and he always walked by faith, whether you like him or hate him. But he always carried himself with stewardship, and that's what made him one of the better players, and not just in the game, but also off the field. Same with these coaches, same way. Another one, Dad might know this one too, Reggie White.
Oh,
Minister
yeah.
Reggie White.
Yes.
He was very religious. He was also a minister of God too.
Right.
He was a fearless. He was the second coming of Lawrence Taylor, but he was very religious off the field, because I think he was a minister too.
Yes. Yes. Matter of fact, they called him the Minister of Defense.
That's
Right.
right.
I remember that.
But when he played for Philadelphia, then he went to Green Bay and won his championship with Green Bay. Yep.
Dynamite player.
Yes.
Mm.
Bless his soul too, because he was another one that left us too soon.
I agree.
Coach Prime talks about God all the time too. In all his press conferences, he starts off by saying, "Praise God, God is good."
That's
And
correct.
Right.
You follow him on social media. Everything he praises about is also about
That's
God. I mean,
correct.
Yeah.
social media accounts have nothing but first thing in the morning, you're on Twitter or Instagram or on Facebook. First thing you see is something about giving thanks to God, and then he carries on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good though. He knows his success. He knows his success doesn't come without faith. We all know
Absolutely.
that.
Amen. So,
Acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will direct your path.
Bingo.
so
Mhm.
Nathaniel, tell us where you see yourself a year from now, 5 years from now, as far as writing. Do you see yourself um, just solely with football and basketball? Do you see yourself expanding with multiple genres of sports? Do you see different forms of media? Tell us where you see yourself going, and how you see the methods of getting there.
Um, I probably, I probably don't, I probably won't branch too far from basketball, or football really. It's just what I'm more comfortable writing about. And honestly, the only two sports I really have an interest in writing about. Um, I don't watch hockey or soccer or baseball too much. I watch baseball a little bit. Maybe that could be the next avenue. I
Mhm.
know enough about baseball where I understand it. Don't really enjoy it much, but I understand it. In the next few years, though, I've kind of taken a back. I've kind of put writing on in a back burner a little bit. It just takes up so much time, especially if you do it consistently. It just takes off all freaking day. Like it's just especially if you're good at it. Like you can dabble in it, but if you're good at it and you're consistent with it, you're
Mhm.
researching stuff early in the morning. You're doing morning meetings. You're doing looking at the spreadsheet. You're handling that, and then you're fully encompassed around the sport. And I know a guy who was my editor. He was a junkie. He was writing all day. Like he'd do like 10 articles a day. And like I'm like, man, I could never do that. I did like two or three, and I'd be tired.
Hmm.
So maybe in the next few years I'll get back into doing it more regularly. But right now I've kind of just given it a break because it just takes so much work to be at your best at it. Like anybody could do something and be okay at it, but to have a nice, solid article that's well written and about something interesting, and to do it several times that day about several different topics, it's not an easy thing to do. So it,
Hmm.
Mhm. So
but yeah.
so now if the pay was right, would your perspective be different?
Well, I mean, if I was getting paid full time, like I'm getting paid, for a regular job, I'd do it all day. I'm sure I'd do it all day because it's my full time job. But I I don't know for sure that I've never had the opportunity to take something that I love to do and make it a job. I feel like it would make me not love it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I've never. So I can't really speak. Maybe I would start doing it and then be tired of doing it. But I mean, I love to write, so I'm not sure. But um, I bet if I did it every day, all day, it would be to a point where I would probably just look at it as work. Just like this is work. Right now, I just love to write. I write about anything, but I think I don't know. It still would be hard though. Like 5 years from now, or whatever the case may be. Hopefully, I can make it somewhat of a job and get back to it. I had fun doing it, and I still do it from time to time, but it's still I don't care what anyone says. Writing and consistently writing, you get those moments where you're just like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna write about today. It just not necessarily. I don't even know if it's writer's block. I don't know if that's a real thing. You just are just so it's so many websites and there's so many people that's writing and so many. It's just trying to be original is just difficult, trying to write something that hasn't been written or in your own way. Then you got to deal with editors changing everything you write and telling you, nah, let's change this and change that. And it's like, bro, I spent all morning on this.
So part of the reason for this particular episode is to also be an encouragement to you. So I heard you speak about how hard it is, or if you're doing all the time, it would be more like a job. So the two other men here on the line do what they do and they love it as their, I don't even want to say for Michael for sure his career. I won't say that for Bishop because it's ministry. So I'm going to step away from the mic. I'm going to let your grandfather tell you what it means to do what you do passionately for over 40 years and it not feel like a job. And then I'm going to let Michael talk about what it means to do something you love and get paid well for it, and it not feel like a job. So I'm going to let Daddy go first.
Well, for me, it's again, I agree with that because I love it.
Mhm.
I don't need an alarm clock to wake me up to get started. I don't need anyone to push me to do it. I love what I do.
Mm.
I love it. I love to get creative. I love to see increase. I love to see growth. I love to see people's lives change. I love to see them receive knowledge and revelation knowledge. I love everything about that. When they turn, I love to see people turn their life to Jesus Christ, walk with Him, learn of Him, know Him. I become bold and full of faith. All that motivates me and stirs me. I see often that lets me know my labor is not in vain.
Amen.
Yes,
Awesome.
nothing. I have nothing negative to say about what I do. Nothing negative.
All
All
right.
good. All good. You've heard me say before. I was telling someone this the other day. I forgot who else was talking. I was talking to my brother Michael on the phone. And y'all heard me share this before. I was ministering at a church in Texas, and after I finished ministering, the pastor came to me. We was having a lunch, and said, "Well, brother, after observing you minister, he said, I can see that you have a Cadillac ministry.
Mm.
You have a Cadillac ministry, and I have," he was talking about himself, "a bulldozer ministry." And I said, I said, "Explain to me what you mean by that." He said, "For you, everything you do is easy. People receive, it's not hard, it's easy. For me," he said about himself, "it's a challenge, hard for him." But what he was picking up from me, and I've talked to Pastor Vernon about this last night, he's picking up me using my gift.
Mm-hmm.
And my gift motivates and inspires people. So that makes it easy for me, I guess, in most people's eyes. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. All right, Michael.
32 years in the business, you're going to have challenges, you're going to have obstacles, you're going to have trials and tribulations, you're going to have decisions to make sometimes, and you're going to be put in positions where you're going to have to work with difficult people at times because it's very competitive. Everybody wants to be the top person, the top player, the top reporter, the top whatever. And the fact that I've lasted this long, it is a testament because it's a skill I developed over the course of time by learning from those mistakes and learning from those situations I was put in, because it was stuff that was beyond my control, but I had to learn to navigate it. And one thing I tell a lot of young professionals I want to get into this field is that you have to be willing to do it, and you have to be willing to make those sacrifices and deal with those challenges and obstacles that come your way. Because this is not going to be something you can just cakewalk through, and then all of a sudden you just get a job, and now you're many of us want to be somebody that we see on TV, like a Stephen A. Smith or Michael Lyle Jr. or somebody. Not to flex here, but there's a lot of people out there that want to be in those positions, but they don't understand there's a lot of work and heavy lifting that comes with that title. And it all is about your persistence, and you also have to have a passion. Like Nathaniel, you say you have a passion for it. I know you have a passion for it. And the money will come. I think the other thing is that, yeah, when you do this kind of work, you want to get paid. You all want to get paid a good amount of money when we do some type of work. It doesn't matter what it is. You want to be able to live. You have families to take care of. You have bills to pay. It's like the kids say, it's called adulting. So you want to be able to have that lifestyle while you can take care of your usual responsibilities outside of what you do for a living. But again, that does come with having to make those sacrifices. And you have to be willing to stay and deal with the challenges that will come. Sometimes it won't just happen right away. Everybody's path is different. I love what I'm doing for a living, but let me just tell you, there were times I went and had some setbacks too. I was out of work for 3.5 years, and I had to regroup by going all over the place, by freelancing and doing extra work, taking some jobs I didn't want to take, but it was only because I had to pay bills. And if I really wanted to be a part of this, I had to make those sacrifices, and I had to keep telling myself it's going to happen. It will get better. And the patience level was testing me heavily. It was a huge test of patience. But eventually it did happen, and I was relieved that it did. But it does take some time, this thing just to manifest when we want it to. I think the thing is, we live in a society where we want things right now. Like, we don't have enough patience to say, okay, we got to pace ourselves to get here. We got to do all this kind of work before we get there. You mentioned editors. I have editors here at KUNC who go to my work every day, all the time. I write stuff that I think might be A, quality work, but because it's what they see, what they want on the air, or what they want to be read on the air, or what they want to be posted on our website, they'll edit it. And sometimes you might think they're trashing it, but no, it's because that's what they get paid to do. Paid to write the articles, but they get paid to edit our material so that when it goes over the air, it sounds like we all know what we're talking about, because we have an audience, and especially now, the way people are looking at media, more so reason we have to be very cautious and mindful of the people that we are giving this information to, because if they see or hear it and they don't like what they're hearing, they're gonna say, well, they don't know what they're talking about, or what was that story all about, or this didn't sound right, or no, that's not true, or in some cases where you have the other side of the political line, it's fake news, or no, that's off the line, that's off base, or that's a lie, or no, that's not factually correct. There are a number of myriad of all kinds of stuff that comes at me when I do this on work. And believe me, I get all kinds of stuff even now. Now, I love what I'm doing here at KUNC. It's been great. I love it here. Going in my third year here, it's been fantastic. I'm doing a lot more here than I was when I was in Connecticut before I moved here. So my point to you is that you can certainly do this. You got the passion and the skill to do it. We talk even off the air about sports every now and then about what we think. You know, I'm here. I want to invite you out here at some point to be a part of this atmosphere in this big sports market of Denver. But there's so much going on these days out here that you would love to be a part of this. You can cover Coach Prime on a regular basis like I'm doing. You can go sit in the at Coors Field and cover the Rockies, even though they're the worst team in baseball and the worst team in sports right now. I don't care. They've lost 50 games. They've been the butt of jokes in sports right now because they're just really bad. But the fact of the matter is, you're in a press box with major league players and major league reporters watching professional sports and getting paid to do that job. So many people would love to be in that position right now. And let's not even talk about the whole diversity aspect, because I'm going to go there. You already know where I'm going with this. Dad knows where I'm going with this too. Leah knows where I'm going with this. There's very few of us in those positions as we speak. So to break down these barriers in the year 2025 is still a challenge. But you know what? Somebody's got to carry the baton and say, if he's doing it, then I can do it.
Right.
Why not you?
Yeah.
This is a major sports market, brother. I'm covering the Nuggets and the Avalanche. I'm covering all these teams out here. I love all the sports. Soccer. You see, I'm wearing the Major League Soccer scarf now. I mean, I cover the Rapids out here too. So, I mean, I do all the sports out here. But my point is that don't be one to just cover this football and basketball either, because too many of us want to do the basics. Go cover the other sports, like cover golf, cover tennis, cover football, cover soccer, cover women's sports, cover college. The more diverse you are, it's going to help you get further, because they're going to see you just don't know the basics. You know a lot of everything. Companies like when they see that. And I tell all these professionals that now, you got to be diverse in your whole background of whatever you want to cover, not just the two basics that we all talk about. Learn everything.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
You say you watch baseball. I mean, you watch baseball, so you know you watch.
Into baseball a little bit.
I'm a Yankees fan for life, but I cover the Rockies out here, so I mean, it's all good.
These last 2 years, I've been watching more baseball than I ever watched, and I actually understand it at a deep level. I'm talking about like pitch count and like how exactly like everything works, how the outfield works.
Yeah.
Like the inner workings of like the what pitch works against, what batters, and just all those type of things. I've been really paying attention to. So,
Like the slider, change up, curve,
change-ups,
fastball. My favorite, the fastball. Or you learn all those different pitches, and you can tell by just the way the ball moves. You can study the movements of the pitches, and you know that good old pitch count now.
Yeah.
They've really sped up this game now, because baseball used to be such a long, drawn-out sport, but now they've made it so that games don't last but maybe an hour or 2.5, 2 hours now.
Double plays and
Double play.
sacrifice flies and suicide squeezes. Like I know about a little something, something, you know.
Mm.
Or the in fly or the deep fly
In-fly
rule.
rule. I still don't know what the in-fly rule is. I know what it is. I don't know exactly what constitutes as the in-fly field rule.
The deep fly rule is that if a runner is on third or on second base or in scoring position, they can advance if the ball is deep enough to where the catcher can make a play. That runner can tag to the next base in front of them. But that's only on a deep fly.
And so infield fly, they can't advance.
They can't advance on in fly because you got to stay on because it's an easy play. The catcher or whoever's if it's a really routine pop up to second base, you cannot advance on that play if you're on second base. You're gonna get caught out. There's no way you can do that unless the catcher that player drops the ball, and then that's an open play. Then that's a free play. Then you can advance.
Okay.
Yeah. See, there's a lot of stuff about baseball they changed now over the years that makes it so
or like
mind-boggling.
Yeah, I watch like the fielder's choice. They could choose between getting the guy out at first or getting the guy out at second, and so
right. That's about baseball IQ about what play matters. Yeah.
You're not rewarded with a hit because I don't know. It's just all kind of stuff, you know.
Oh no, and then there's the balk. You know about the balk, right?
Yeah.
Where the pitcher has to stay in his pitching rotation. He can't change in the middle of his rotation or they call for a balk.
I think now if you go past the pitch count, like if the number goes down, you get an automatic ball. It's like
the pitch clock now is made at speed. That's the thing they instituted a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
During the pandemic was at the speed of the clock now. The pitcher has to get that ball out before the clock hits zero, or otherwise it's either going to be a ball or the runner. If it's a 3-2 count, then that now it's ball 4. That batter is advanced now.
Yeah.
See, you know baseball. There's no crying in baseball.
It's just one of those sports that you're gonna have to. I mean, 150 games or whatever it is. Like
162 games. Yeah.
I don't think I could sit and watch all that. You know, and just.
Well, there's games every day too. That's just it. I mean, they get maybe 1 or 2 days off a week.
They get some double header like in the same day. You know?
Oh, I know. Well, you know what used to be the thing in baseball is that they used to play actual regulation doubleheaders, but because when the pandemic hit 5 years ago, they had to kind of cut down on the time of the game. So they've now implemented that the doubleheaders will go 7 innings now.
Oh, okay.
To shorten the game a little bit, which I don't like. Like there's another rule now they have in extra innings now they have a runner on second base.
Yeah, I know. I've seen, which it's interesting. I don't think it's a bad thing. But I
don't like it. I don't like that. That's you're killing the game. It's you're speeding up the game now. You should just go back to the old school. There was no such thing as a ghost runner in extra inning baseball. You played the full regulation until you scored a winning run without having all these different obstacles or different configurations they put in the sport now. It's like, why do you got to do the ghost runner in extra innings? Just get rid of that. You're giving the other team an advantage, really. So that means the next batter comes up, hits the ball, is going to score the winning run. That's not fair.
I gotta get ready to get my boys ready for the appointment.
All right. Well, this has been more than we could have even asked for. And I hope that it's been encouraging for you as much as it's been enjoyment for us. Our live chat has been booming, people enjoying hearing the commentary of the multi-generational commentary between you, your grandfather, and then adding in Michael here at the end. So it's been a proposition that the three of you all maybe pray about your own podcast or your own conversation moving forward. And I think that would be something quite awesome to consider. They're quiet, so we'll see. But I think it's a great idea. So we'll talk about it. But Nathaniel, first of all, as your mom, I'm so proud of you and the man that you have become, the father that you are. And I know that you just have a lot on your plate. And we're not telling you to give up cooking. If cooking is your passion, The world now is so creative. You can blend sports and cooking. You can, your grandmother was just saying, we could call it Nate's Games and Gourmet. We can figure out a way to blend your worlds together and make it all work. But we're just here to encourage you and see you be the best possible Nathaniel that you can be. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Any last words of encouragement for Nathaniel from his grandpa and from his stepfather?
Well, I would just say to you, Nathaniel, if your desire is to become a full-time professional sports writer, find out all you can, connect with people who's already doing it, and doing it the way that you want to do it, and pursue it. Let it out.
I agree. I agree with that. He's right. He's absolutely right.
Okay.
And the other thing I'll say to this too, Nathaniel, is important because this is one reason why people who are successful find their own path. You also got to keep a good circle around you that's going to support you through your ups and downs. Because unfortunately, not everybody's going to want to see you win. Especially when you have a talent like yourself that wants to be a part of this. And you have a lot more that you bring to the table than somebody else who's probably vying for that same job that you want. But you need to keep a close, tight circle of those who's going to support you, like your mom, me, your grandfather. We got your back. We'll tell you, hey, this is what you should be doing. And here's how you should do it.
Right.
But also be mindful of those around you who you're going to be working with that are also trying to be spying. And maybe you don't know what they're thinking, but you could rest assured, whatever you have, they want.
Yeah.
Amen.
They do. It's a dog eat dog world, as they say, because everybody's going to want to be on top, and they will use any method that they can think of to get where they want. And it doesn't matter who they use along the way. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
Well, we're going to wrap up. I'm sure everyone enjoyed this. This will be available for replay very soon. I want to end by telling you this, Nathaniel. There's so many people that believe in you that when you are ready to come to Colorado, Michael is so ready to introduce you to so many people that will immediately launch you and jumpstart you into the career that you want.
All right.
And when you're ready to come, your plane ticket has already been paid for. And I don't even know if you know that, but that's already been taken care of. So God is an amazing God.
Right.
We are walking with him and serving him. And you've grown up in this, you know that. So I just want you to know, and I'm saying this publicly to light some fire under you so that you're ready to come and do what needs to be done. With that, again, we love you, Nathaniel. Thank you so much for taking time out of your morning. Bishop, I know that you are busy. I know that you have a lot going on. I know this was important to you. I learned a little bit more about you today, even as your daughter.
Right.
So I thank and thank you to my husband. We had a mild terrorist attack just a little bit an hour away from here, and so much going on the radio, and he still took time to be out here to be with Nathaniel today because family is important, and that's what we wanted to make known.
Yes, very.
So with that, thank you all for tuning in. We have another episode coming in on Friday. New Covenant Community Connect Live is popping, let me tell you. So make sure that you hit the like, comment, and subscribe so that you can stay current on what we're doing here at New Covenant. And make sure that you also subscribe to the Doctors Dwight and Bernadette Elijah channel for all of the messages there. Dr. Dwight just dropped a new single yesterday. So if you haven't heard it, please make sure that you subscribe and listen to The Road. Oh my gosh, it is so beautiful. You want to hear it. So with that, thank you all. Have a blessed, marvelous Monday, and God be with you.
All right.
All right now.
Bless.
Be blessed. Stay in touch, Nathaniel.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Love you.
You got it.